are you this morning?
Jure.
Big Jure.
Yeah, he's a cologne now.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Never thought when he was just Jerry. He walked in the door, is like, I'm Jerry.
Hi, Jerry.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Well, Jure got his first experience in the Sleep Galleria massage chair.
Was it not heavenly?
That is, I see why this is a daily occurrence for the both of you. I got here early just for that. Skipped Waffle House this morning.
The back decompression.
Dude.
That is the key. That's how I start off my morning. Got to have it.
Dude, the fact that he said I skipped Waffle House, got here early so I could get in the sleep chair.
You got priorities,
That's
brother.
right, dude. I love them. That's great priorities. I just love the fact that you did it. That's awesome. It is glorious, just like Thursday's glorious, and we're glad that you're here. 404-741-1230 at Extra 106.3 across the social media platforms.
Are you feeling glorious?
I am glorious. Yes, I got my little energy drink.
Yeah, okay.
I got to get me a water though. That's the thing that I have to have more than anything else.
See, I'm missing the energy drink. I just have
so
the
you
water.
guys, maybe we could split them up a little bit. And we can share. But other than that, yeah, man, everything seems to be going well. The Democrats are in disarray, so that's that's kind of funny. I read some internal polling that was shared, and it basically said the American people don't think the Democrat Party believes in American values. They don't believe that they look out for working folks. They believe that they are the party of the rich. All of these things. And the problem is, you'd think, well, maybe, it's one poll, maybe this is the outlier. Now, it's the second time that they've done this polling internally, and it shows the same thing.
It's unique because we've been saying this for probably the better part of a decade.
Yeah.
I mean, once this party moved away from the working class under Barack Obama and became this quilt of, all right, this group who is a victim and this group that is a victim. And even if you're not a victim, we need you to view yourself as a victim so that we can then be the ones that'll lead you into the promised land. Just give us power. It does not agree with American values. And so I'm glad it's only taken a decade for the rest of America to go, yeah, that doesn't really represent me.
Well, and
feels weird.
It has to be discouraging, I would imagine, for the Democrat Party to see that twice now in polling, internal polling that they pay for, that they are trying to research. What is it that is our problem? Well, I think I can tell you. You and your values don't align with me and my values. And I feel like I'm pretty much in the mainstream of America.
But it now all fits the course. It's par. The idea that we're going to have a good possibility of a government shutdown, and it all comes down to a handful of Democrats in the Senate, led by Chuck Schumer, who've decided this is what we're going to do. And again, I don't fear government shutdowns.
Me either.
I don't care about them.
Couldn't care less.
Doesn't worry me one bit. Obviously, suddenly you basically take your eye off the ball for a few days, what occurs. And maybe you don't open up a state park or two. Whatever. Don't care. But it does fit the MO of who they are at this point, which is you don't go along to get along one bit. You're off in some 20% land where you do only things that you believe really matter to your constituents, but your constituents are so far out there, they do not ring true with the rest of America.
Yeah, that's right. And as far as the government shutdown, President Trump and Elon Musk are going to be making notes. Like, what is not essential? Because I think right now, we have a good spotlight. Let's see who we really need. Let's see who we can get rid of even more. And the Democrats, man, they're so upside down. You got some of them that want to keep the government open. You got the others that, like Schumer, like you had mentioned, that want to shut it down. I mean, we have audio of them. We don't have to play it now, but we have audio of them 6 months ago. 8 months ago when the government shutdown was a possibility, and they were screaming to the top of their lungs how important it was to keep the government open, and it's just a terrible idea. It's so detrimental if the government shuts down, and then you fast forward and Donald Trump's the president, and it's like, no, none of that stuff we said we didn't mean any of that.
No big deal.
No, there's nothing to see here. So that these people they're not serious people, man.
Not at this point.
They're not. There's nothing that they do or say that makes me go, yep, I can see where they're coming from, because I can't.
They're wandering out in the wilderness. And to then see, so the big news from yesterday was, hey, Rosie O'Donnell has moved to Ireland.
Who cares?
This is what they've turned into. This icon of the left, this person who is on The View, this person who is commentating on American politics. She's decided that she doesn't even want to take part in the fabric of America by moving to Ireland. And what did everyone say yesterday? Oh, okay, that figures.
Hand salute.
Hopefully
Adios.
she doesn't tip Ireland over, right, Hank Johnson?
That's right, Hank Johnson. He's probably very concerned about it.
Was it Megyn Kelly who asked Trump when he was on stage about calling women something
Yes.
about fat pigs, and he said, "No, that was only Rosie O'Donnell."
Yes, it was during the initial first-time debate. This is back in 2016. She thought she had the gotcha moment. It was, you have referred to women as this, in the crowd. It's like, oh, what do you say?
Yeah,
like, this is normally a killer.
Yeah.
And he goes, only Rosie O'Donnell.
That's right.
And the crowd erupted in laughter. And that was the end of it there for Megyn Kelly in that line of questioning. That
Yeah.
was done. It was
Yeah.
over with.
Yeah, that was Megan before she had figured things out. And because she went through a little bit of a valley, too, where like some of the things she said didn't make a lot of sense. And you're like, what? Come on, you're a smart lady. Surely you don't.
Well, I think she was calling balls and strikes. And during that time period, you would go after Donald Trump in part because, let's face it, kind of seemed like, was he serious about what he was doing? And then the idea of, was he a Democrat plant? Like, you know, there was an air about him where, was he really being serious about what was going on?
Yeah.
And so before Megyn Kelly ending up over with NBC, you know, she was
Yeah.
going to be that person. I'm going to call balls and strikes.
Yeah.
Now it's turned into, okay, I now get it. It's for the soul of the country.
Yeah, and it is. That's what I think, going back to that Democrat polling, I think that's what the American people see too, is that these people do not have the best interest of America in mind. And the things they do, the way they behave, the things that they find important aren't what is in line with most Americans. It's just not. And it won't be for a really long time. Or ever. It might not ever get back there. I don't know if the Democrat Party can recover from this. As I've said a few times, there may need to be a splinter off of the Democrat Party to maintain, like, where people that are center left that I don't always agree with, but we can at least find common ground, can go and be taken serious, because the Democrat Party's not being taken serious at all.
The issue that I believe comes from this past election is that you started seeing the splintering of maybe at least one of the most important areas, the unions. The union leadership was not backing Kamala Harris. You had so many of their constituents that were saying, no, we're voting for Donald Trump. This is going to be better for us. Once you lose the unions, you're no longer speaking to one of the most important areas that have traditionally been Democrat. So there has to be a realignment at some point.
Well, but as we've talked, they can't be in the Democrat Party because you couldn't get nominated as a center left person.
Yeah.
So there has to be something else.
There has to be something else.
And that's what I'm waiting to happen. And whether it's the Morgan and Morgan, I don't really take that one serious.
But you know what the problem is, though, Tug? The problem is that the only people that are speaking about this are the older Democrats, which it makes it very easy for you to say, all right, Carville's old and dumb. Bill Maher, he's had it.
Yeah.
You know, these people that are talking about the direction things need to go, they, within this society, are automatically crapped on given their age.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Trump is, what is he, 78?
78.
He don't seem to have a problem. There's plenty of folks that are.
Because he puts it out there every day.
It's exactly right. But he says things that are in line with the values of America. I know age it matters, but if you find the right person, and I don't know that they can, then that person can speak to you, you and a group of people, a big part of America, that it is possible, but I just don't know that they have it, because I can't think of anybody, young or old, in the Democrat Party that makes any sense whatsoever. And maybe some folks that have been voted out of office that have become analysts, they make a little bit of sense, but they're not in the game anymore, really. So where does that leave that? I don't.
At least not leaders in the game.
Yeah, it leaves them lost, is what it does. But yesterday I shot Lois a text when I first saw this, and it was that inflation had cooled off again. And then you saw the markets respond to that inflation news.
Inflation is easing, according to this report for February. Month over month, we got a gain of 0.2%. The street was looking for a gain of 0.3%. We came in 2.8% year over year. Expectation was 2.9%. Core month over month, again, lighter than expected, up 0.2. We were looking for 0.3. And then core year over year, also lighter than expected, 3.1%. The street was looking for 3.2%. New vehicle prices fell month to month. Gasoline prices fell month to month. Overall, the market seems to really like this report.
Yeah, they did. And you saw everything bounce back. Remember 2 days ago when things were, the oh my gosh, the market's
it's market
falling.
chaos.
Yes, that's a free
He's
fall.
crashing the economy.
That's exactly right. And you couldn't help but roll your eyes back in your head and just wait 2 days, because that's the way the market works always. Wait 2 days, get some good news, and then it shoots right back up.
Is it not strange that the entire news media is rooting for and hoping for a economic demise so that they can lay it at the feet of Donald Trump? And so when you do get this on the other end, now it turns into, well, don't say anything about it.
Yeah, keep it quiet, keep it down.
Make sure not to say anything about it.
That's right. I've never...
Let's see what's on Morning Joe, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I could never, and didn't, in Joe Biden's administration, never cheered against him, even though I knew what he was doing wasn't going to be successful. There was never a point where I like, man, I hope the market crashes and it's bad for everybody. I hope it ruins everybody's life and crashes their safe. But that's what Morning Joe will be talking about a little later. Can't wait for everything to fall apart.
They're so far behind. Canada imposes 25%, retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't we already pretty much decided this?
Yeah.
Canadians already rolled over onto their back and showed you their belly.
Yes.
The snow Mexicans know that they cannot do this with us.
Right now, though, they're still putting up that front. Them and the Europeans both. They're putting up we're going to show the Americans, and neither one of them have the cards going back.
No, not at all.
To what Donald Trump said. He said the same thing to Zelensky, and Zelensky rolled over. You had one of the premiers in Canada talking about the energy that he was going to restrict or tariff highly that was going into Michigan, Minnesota, and New York. And we're going to either tariff it really high so prices go up, or we're going to stop it altogether.
We'll show you 4 hours later. We were just kidding.
Yes, exactly. So they're still in that posturing, though, where we're going to pretend that we're going to have this big backbone. And Europe's doing the exact same thing. It's interesting, Los, because Mexico is not. Mexico and all of Central and South America, they're not. Brazil's not. None of them are. They're like, okay, we know we got these new tariffs. Let's just sit back and see how this works. Let's go sit down with the administration. Let's talk about them or talk with them about this. But not Canada and Europe. They're still trying to show how tough they are.
Well, once we get the government funded, then I believe so much of this administration for the next 3 to 4 months is going to turn towards tax policy. And if it includes, for as much as they're talking about cutting, and then basically making it up with tariffs, then here's how the groundwork is being laid. And we'll see. Some of these countries are going to back off of this stuff.
Yeah, most of them. All of them, probably.
You're going to have this ignorant nature of, well, I'm not going to feel it. Maybe my country will.
Yeah.
I'm not up for re-election. I'll just see how long we can put up with this stuff.
I'm in government. I'm loaded. I've set myself up for life.
I'm great. Everything's good here.
Doesn't matter what happened to those peasants.
But those commoners have to deal with this stuff.
Exactly right. Marco Rubio is proving again to be just the perfect fit for his job as Secretary of State. He keeps hitting home runs, doesn't he?
He is a weapon. Yesterday, and I want you to make sure what happens is you have a lot of bleeding heart reporters that think they're going to have like the gotcha moment. I'm going to ask him about taking an American with a green card. By the way, it's kind of a misnomer there. A person who's here legally with a green card and deciding to ask you about, I know he was talking about terroristic actions. I know this person is a backer of Hamas, a Columbia student. So when the reporter asked the question, listen to how Marco Rubio tears it apart.
When you come to the United States as a visitor, which is what a visa is, which is how this individual entered this country, you are here as a visitor. We can deny you that visa. If you tell us when you apply, I am a big supporter of Hamas, a murderous, barbaric group that kidnaps children, that rapes teenage girls, that takes hostages, that allows them to die in captivity, that returns more bodies than live hostages. And by the way, I intend to come to your country as a student and rile up all kinds of anti-Semitic activities. I intend to shut down your universities. If you told us all these things when you applied for a visa, we would deny your visa. I hope we would. This is not about free speech. This is about people that don't have a right to be in the United States to begin with. No one has a right to a student visa. No one has a right to a green card, by the way. When you apply for a student visa or any visa to enter the United States, we have a right to deny you for virtually any reason. But I think being a supporter of Hamas and coming into our universities and turning them upside down, if you told us that's what you intended to do when you came to America, we would have never let you in. And if you do it once you get in, we're going to revoke it and kick you out.
Bam.
Now,
Emerald. Bam.
when you saw that mother who was returned by Hamas with her 2 children,
Yeah. In caskets.
and it was a party for Hamas, this may not be popular, but if you happen to drop sarin gas in the whole area and have killed every single man, woman, and child there, I wouldn't have batted one eye. I wouldn't have said, oh, that seems like that's wrong. That's going too far. Now, that's how I feel. Imagine when you remove the green card status of somebody who backs Hamas, who's in this country, who's making things difficult at Columbia University. Do you think I'm going to be upset?
No.
Do you think I'm going to go, oh, what a totalitarian government? What kind of wrongs are they doing? And then to have his wife get up and talk about how he's a political prisoner and I'm 8 months pregnant. Baby girl, I already saw the people that you're backing, and I would have dropped a bomb on all of them. Do you think I'd really worry about you and your husband? Do you think I'm broken up about that? Not one bit.
When I see these people on college campuses praising Hamas, that's when I'm done, and that's what the American people see. It's not just me. The American people see it, and none of them back this. It's funny that the Democrat Party falls so in line with the values, not of America or Americans, but Hamas. Like, they're fully in support of what this dude is talking about. His name is Mahmoud Khalil. They're in full support of it. You wonder why that they're in such disarray. The fact that their internal polling says that they don't have America's values, they don't share America's values. They're putting it on display every night by saying, this is who we don't support you, American. We support this guy who hates you.
They have planted a flag on an American-hating, Israeli-hating, green card-holding student who should be incredibly lucky to be here. What I say is you find the place that has the most amount of dirt or sand where you grow nothing and send him there.
Well, that'd be Gaza, because that's where he's from.
Be like, enjoy it.
And that's where he's going back to.
Why don't you go back?
Yeah.
And take that raggedy-ass wife with you, too.
Got no problem with it.
Go raise your kid over there. See how you feel about this one. Oh, but she's an American. Huh. All right. We'll figure out that status eventually, too, won't we? Go raise him in Gaza.
When we continue.
Why don't you keep returning back the bodies of people that were taken away on October 7th that were, by the way, entered captivity alive, and you return bodies of children. To hell with all y'all, man.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Hamas? To hell with you.
Former prosecutor here in Atlanta, Phil Holloway. He joins us next to discuss Fonnie Willis's future. This is Extra 106.3. Tagalos until 10.
Finally, a president that will fight for American values.
The American dream is surging bigger and better than ever before.
And finally, an Atlanta news station that covers it the right way. Extra 106.3 isn't about traffic and weather. We care about the stories that matter most to you, your family, and your community. Get traffic and weather on your phone and get Atlanta's only conservative conversation right here on Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
Join A Second Chance Bail Bond CEO Daniel Madelon and host Tug Coward for the weekly radio show Back Your Blue. They will highlight special initiatives, criminal justice programs, and community events aimed at keeping our communities safer. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to learn some good news about and from the law enforcement and justice communities. This week's guest is Jacqueline Bridges, Mayor Pro Tem in Carrollton, Georgia. Tune in on Saturdays or catch up on all past episodes wherever you get your podcasts or at thepodcastpark.com.
No one plans on going to jail, but when it happens, it's important that you know who to call. Call A Second Chance Bail Bonds, where we believe everyone deserves a second chance. Whether your loved one's been arrested in Cherokee, Clayton, or any of the other metro Atlanta counties in between, A Second Chance Bail Bonds works fast to help expedite release within hours. A Second Chance. It's better to know us and not need us than need us and not know us. Call A Second Chance 24/7 at 404-BAIL-OUT or online at atlbail.com.
The Atlanta Braves Spring Training Series Behind the Braves, presented by Global Payments, is back for the 5th season. Hear from your favorite players and meet the new faces as they get to work at spring training in preparation for the 2025 season. Plus, enjoy exclusive interviews and go behind the scenes to see the team like never before. New episodes drop each week on youtube.com/Braves and locally on Peachtree TV and Atlanta's CW. Atlanta Braves Baseball. We are Braves Country.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on this station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to firstlibertyga.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to firstlibertyga.com. That's firstlibertyga.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
Hey homeowners, it's Flounder, and I'm here to keep you warm. Well, I won't, but my friends at Dobbs Heating and Air will. As a new homeowner myself, I prefer working with local, family-owned companies who value what matters to me and treats my home like it's their own. The Dobbs family have a passion for what they do, and taking care of people is their primary goal. So if your home needs help staying warm right now, call Dobbs Heating and Air and experience the Dobbs difference. And check them out online at dobbshvac.com.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Saunders offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO and PPO with Medicare contracts. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
Senior Specialist/Engineer Service Operations positions offered by CETA Information Networking Computing USA Incorporated in Atlanta, Georgia. Provide service operations support to internal and external customers at airports and worksites throughout the U.S. for IT infrastructure in accordance with the terms of the Customer Contract and Service Level Agreements, SLAS. Must be willing to travel domestically 20%. This is a fully remote position that reports to the company headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia. Job duties are performed at various airports and worksites throughout the U.S. Apply with resume to gosia.mikolajczyk@sita.aero.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your headlines for Thursday, March 13th. The city of Marietta is taking a new approach to homelessness. A resolution passed by the city council on Wednesday bans unauthorized camping on private property. One of the main areas of concern is along Bells Ferry Road, where neighbors and police say 911 calls are now almost a daily occurrence. Police Chief David Beam says officers will give violators a few days' time to pack up and leave before issuing citations. Former state representative Eric Allen won the Democratic special election runoff for District 2 of the Cobb Board of Commissioners. Allen will now face off against Republican Alicia Adams in the April 29th general election. SpaceX's mission to retrieve the stuck American astronauts was delayed Wednesday. The earliest opportunity for another launch attempt is Friday. The astronauts have now been in space for 9 months. Today's weather, cloudy with a high of 74 degrees. Tomorrow looks the same. Showers are expected this weekend with a possibility of severe storms that could produce tornadoes. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne.
A name you'll recognize if you've been a listener of radio or television shows or even podcasts will be Philip Holloway. He's a former prosecutor, legal analyst here in Atlanta, and you've seen him on Fox News, you've seen him on CNN, you've seen him on the Megyn Kelly Show, you've seen him on radio stations here in town, and we're glad to welcome him to the Morning Extra at Extra 106.3. What's up, man? How are you?
Oh, man, I'm just having a great time. Thanks, you guys, for having me in. I love the space over here, right here at the Battery.
Yeah, the thing, Los, first thing he said when he came in, he was like, man, I'm a Braves season ticket holder. I love being here.
The strange part about it, Phil, as much as we're in here every day, and when the season comes around, it's really cool. But I have turned into that person that as we get into like the dog days, everyone's like, well, why don't you just go to the game? I'm like, I'm tired of going to games. It's like I turned into that guy. I'm like, I got to get away from here.
Yeah, it's so much fun. It's like it's a bit of Disney World when you come to Dickey Broadcasting Company. From our sister station, The Fan, down the hall, which is the Braves Radio Network, the largest sports network in all of professional sports, and then little bitty old Extra 106.3. We're like the little engine that could, and Lowe's got exiled down here because he's a conservative.
Does that sound familiar? Does it seem how interesting how that happens?
Sometimes that happens.
I feel like you've had some experience with that before.
A little bit here and there.
Once in a while it pops up. The thing that I wanted to talk to you about the most was the whole Fonnie Willis case, because Tom Fitton from Judicial Watch released a video about 8 minutes. I watched the whole thing, and it took me a minute to figure out, like, wait a minute, this is from a couple weeks ago when this hearing was originally heard, and the judge in the case was like, hey, do we need a special master to go through and find documents? Because Fonnie says there are none. Now all of a sudden, magically, there's 212, and I expect, Phil, that is the tip of the iceberg of what really exists.
Well, there's certainly, where there's smoke, there's fire, and I'm sure that you're going to find some fire burning here. The bigger picture with Willis, this whole thing, started, of course, with my friend and colleague, attorney Ashley Merchant, who I call the Aaron Brockovich of this whole unraveling of the Fonnie Willis regime, because she's the one that came forward with sort of the smoking guns, if you will, right? And other entities, other people, Tom Fitton, Judicial Watch, and even the Georgia Senate now, they're all starting to ask questions. And so you've got this litigation involving the quest for records and documents. We learned from the billing records from Nathan Wade that he was billing Fulton County for things related to the visiting with the January 6th committee folks and the White House counsel. So people started recognizing, look, there may be some connection to some coordination with the Biden administration and other politicos in Washington who have sort of a political agenda. So now she's having to answer for, at least to some degree, to the extent she's being forced to. She's going to have to answer for her own motivations in bringing this criminal lawsuit. The state Senate is in litigation with her over the validity of their subpoena. So far, she's losing that. She's not winning by and large on these open record suits. Ashley Merchant herself brought one that Willis lost as well. So she's in the position now where she is literally on the defense, but she's not wanting to defend herself. She's going to great lengths, in my opinion, to try to avoid answering these very important questions.
Phil Holloway is our guest. You can always follow him on Twitter, Phil Holloway ESQ, again, over on X, over on the former Twitter. I want to ask you about that because I think we've been looking a lot of times for a smoking gun. We all believe that this administration, the previous one, had a lot to do with a lot of these prosecutions that were going on around the country. It feels like this is the biggest smoking gun because of the sloppiness of what went on here.
Well, yeah, I think sloppy is a good way to put it. And look, in my opinion, it seems like nobody ever believed that the billing records of this special prosecutor would become such an issue. But the reason it is an issue is because no other jurisdiction really in Georgia does this. I mean, they have a staff of professional lawyers that are paid to be full-time prosecutors down there, and the idea that you're going to bring in somebody from the outside who's not a prosecutor, who's in private practice, and then pay them as an independent contractor at a rate that is significantly higher than the people you have that are full-time professional prosecutors, that just in and of itself
red
is
flag
enough
number
to ask
one.
questions.
Well, it's like a semen out of Tommy Boy. Remember when Tommy goes in and gets out of school and he's got his desk and David Spade's character's like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
He's just walking into an office and a great salary. Of course that's going to bring red flags. Another thing, when you talk about how sloppy, or Lowe's talked about how sloppy it was, it's almost like they would have been smarter. Do you use Venmo at all?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so Venmo, you always put, like when let's say you're buying into, Super Bowl squares, because we recently did that. Or what you put pizza.
Yeah.
You never put what you're actually,
or a gift or coffee.
You never put exactly what you're doing because you don't want people to know. They weren't even smart enough to change it up. The sloppiness is so apparent.
Yeah, well, they didn't ever think that anybody was going to be reviewing this. So the whole thing with Willis's litigation or her indictment, she's trying to criminalize lawyers who are being creative and thinking outside the box. She's trying to criminalize the free speech, in my opinion, of some of these defendants. I mean, regardless of what you say about the election of 2020,
I got lots of opinions.
There are opinions everywhere, but you've got a right to express those opinions, right? Whether they, are accurate or not. And then we've got the whole word like misinformation and spreading disinformation. Those are little weasel words, right? Who is the arbiter of what misinformation is, and who gets to be the decider of what the truth is?
The Ministry of Truth.
Is it Miss Willis?
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
Does Miss Willis have a monopoly on what the truth is, or do other people get to have an opinion?
Yeah, that is the part that from the start of this case, Phil, it was if you're calling Georgia and saying, what is going on there, and I believe that I was cheated out of votes, and I believe that there was some sort of weirdness that went on with an election, that's strictly an opinion. At no point have I seen any evidence where Donald Trump somehow used the power of the presidency, somehow executed something within his office where you said, okay, that's overstepped his constitutional bounds of free speech.
Well, not only that, there's this whole idea of like, oh, this person is trying to influence an election. Well, duh.
Everyone tries to influence an election.
That's what all the ads that you see.
People spend millions and billions of dollars to do
The
that.
whole point is to influence an election. That's why we have candidates that go on media, they go on radio shows like this, they go on social media, and they give their opinions and all kinds of things. So, the whole thing about, the left has come up with these buzzwords, misinformation, disinformation, attempt to influence an election, as if these are all bad things.
Right. Well, but for them, when you're caught with your pants down, it is a bad thing. And I feel like that's where they are. They're trying to, how do we spin out of this? And we'll use those because people hear them and they react to them. They respond to that because everybody wants to believe what they think is the truth.
Well, the Georgia Senate is going to get to some of the truth, I think. Their subpoena fight, they're winning. They're going to be able to, I think, compel her attendance to have to testify under oath before the Senate committee, just like, by the way, other people from Fulton County, Rob Pitts and others from the Fulton Commission have been down there voluntarily, testified under oath. Why can't other elected officials be required to do the same thing? She's not special. Nobody is above the law. I think she's used that phrase. So if there's a valid subpoena, she's got to go sit and answer questions under oath. That's just the way it is.
Do you believe that is going to be the point where we get to at least the bottom of some of this? Because she deflected as much as she could, or as a friend of ours, Ray Giudice, likes to put it, her answers weren't really good answers when she was on the stand.
Well, she prevaricates and she tries to filibuster, if you will, and just sort of take over things. My favorite was when she's up there calling Ashley Merchant a liar, and she just seems to be a little, I don't know, in my opinion, a little unhinged was the way I would look at it.
I think so.
But she did not come across credible. And to borrow a phrase from the judge, her testimony had the odor of mendacity, right? It's
I had to look that up.
The stank, if you will, of something that's not true.
Well, and I'll tell you something that we have heard, and probably you as well. Ashley Merchant didn't want to go down this road.
It's not like she's super conservative.
Yeah, the way I was told was that once it was revealed of what was going on as a person with her responsibilities, she was legally inclined to have to bring this to the court's attention.
Ashley is a fine lawyer. She's a zealous advocate for her client, and she's going to look if her professional obligation requires her to pull on this thread, she's going to pull on it and see whatever happens. And my goodness, she got a good thread to pull, didn't she?
I admire that. What happens if Fonnie Willis doesn't go down and testify? I mean, the subpoena's out there. What happens? Is she going to jail?
Well, that would be the Senate would have to take it to court to enforce it, and if you violate a court order, the penalty is contempt of court. So Willis has been represented at least by former Governor Roy Barnes. I imagine he knows the law and will advise her if it comes down to that she's going to have to honor her legal commitment. So I don't think it's ever going to come to that, but she at some point I think there will be a full reckoning. And by the way, I predict here, it could be today, tomorrow, very soon, the Georgia Supreme Court is going to finalize her being legally booted off of this indictment. So then we're going to be left with an indictment with no prosecutor.
What a mess.
Yeah, what about? Could she be disbarred at some point?
Well, it's my understanding there have been bar complaints filed. I seriously doubt that the State Bar of Georgia is going to disbar a prosecutor. And the idea, just hang with me here.
Okay, because I'm like, what?
Right, so if she presents a case to the grand jury and the grand jury issues a finding of probable cause, that is a legal finding by a legal entity that's empowered to make these decisions that a crime probably was committed and these defendants probably committed it. That tends to insulate prosecutors from all things that they do in pursuit of that indictment.
I hear what you're saying, and I kind of understand it. But I think that's what pisses people off so badly, that you could bring a case like this. You could work behind the scenes, allegedly work behind the scenes with the White House, with Jack Smith, to bring a case against Donald Trump, trying to bring down his presidency, trying to put him in jail. You took a mugshot, and then you're going to get away scot-free? Well,
and that to bring this sort of back full circle back to the Senate, this is the whole point of the Senate conducting these hearings. There's going to be some legislation. We've already seen a Senate bill that passed that would authorize prosecutors to have to pay the costs of defendants if they are booted off a case. But we're going to see, I think, some legislative reforms that have more oversight, because as it is now, and it has been for as long as I've been in the legal system, there is no penalty for prosecutors who run amok. Okay, and let's face it, it doesn't happen that often. Most prosecutors do not engage in misconduct, but sometimes they do. Think about Duke Lacrosse. Okay, we can think back in history. I just probably told everybody how old I am, but if you look back throughout history, you'll see examples where prosecutors misuse the power of their office, but historically the penalty for doing that has been almost non-existent.
And let me ask you that, Phil, as we'll finish up here with the Fonnie Willis part of this discussion, as Phil Holloway is our guest. Is this the end of her political career? Because it sure does feel this way to me.
No. Remember, she's in Fulton County. Donald Trump in this last election,
but she had bigger aspirations than just Fulton County. As big of a job as that is, I think this woman had aspirations for the Senate and for national.
Well, if your question is, if the question is, does this derail her larger ambitions? The answer is maybe, but it's not going to do much to, I guess, diminish her in the eyes of the voters of Fulton County, who continue to vote overwhelmingly Democrat.
I vote in Fulton County. I did not vote for her.
You're the one.
I'm the one.
You're the one.
Good for you.
Yeah, standing my ground.
That other 75% seems to be a little bit confused.
I'm planting my stake best I can. Morning Xtra, Xtra 106.3. We'll continue with Phil Holloway. You've heard him all across radio in Atlanta on national programs, CNN, Fox News, Megyn Kelly Show, talking about this very trial, this very case. And we'll come back because I want to ask you about something that may be a little bit out of your out of your experience, but I think you could probably put some good light on it. We'll talk about some of Joe Biden's pardons and then the fake use of the signature. Next on the Morning Extra.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
These are your sports headlines for Thursday, March 13th. The Atlanta Braves continue spring training action this afternoon, this time from Clearwater, as they travel to play the Philadelphia Phillies. First pitch is set for 1:05. You can listen to that game on our sister station's app, 680 The Fan. From the NFL, quarterback Aaron Rodgers is a free agent for the first time in his career, as he was designated by the New York Jets as a June 1st cut. Rodgers is now permitted to talk with any team in the league about their starting quarterback job. And the Atlanta Hawks have now won 4 straight as they beat the Charlotte Hornets last night, 123-110. Trae Young with 35 points, 12 assists, and 7 rebounds. The Hawks are off until Friday night when they will host the LA Clippers at State Farm Arena. With your headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
True Prep on Cobb Parkway is your one-stop shop for emergency preparedness supplies, including freeze-dried food, water filtration, first aid, and more. They also have a large selection of firearms, including a huge selection of AR-15s, firearm accessories, and ammo at the lowest prices around. They're locally owned and operated, and you can visit their store in Marietta on Cobb Parkway or online at trueprep.com. That's truprep.com. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow at True Prep.
Are you tired of dealing with drafty, inefficient windows? Do you have certain rooms in the house that you can't keep cool in the summer or warm in the winter? Hi, I'm Dan Watkins with All Four Seasons Garage Entry Doors and Windows. It's time to upgrade these old windows. Replace them with double-pane, beautiful, energy-efficient windows. Your new windows will help you regulate a perfect temperature throughout your house. Start saving big money on your energy bills and improve the curb appeal of your home. Give us a call today at 770-517-7078.
Attention, Atlanta. It's the biggest truckload safe sale of the year at the Safe Market and Liberty Safes of Atlanta. And it's happening for 3 days only. We're unloading American-made safes at up to 40% off. Gun safes, home security safes. With 3 convenient locations, there's never been a better time to buy. Hurry, because when the truck's empty, the deals are gone. Shop online or come to one of our 3 stores for even better savings. Thursday, March 20th through Saturday, March 22nd only. Call 770-242-0055 or visit thesafemarket.com now.
This is House Call for Health. A company that produces health analyzing devices tells us when we lose the most sleep, and it generally falls into 2 types of events. Withings says Americans tend to get bleary-eyed and lose sleep when 2 things happen. The data shows generally the worst night for sleep is when clocks spring forward to daylight saving time, as we just did last weekend. But in 2024, restlessness was the worst on November 5th, the night of the presidential election. Withings says Americans got 6 hours and 40 minutes of shut-eye, compared to the yearly average of 6 hours and 54 minutes. People in Colorado, Minnesota, and Massachusetts got the most time at rest, while those in New Jersey, Nevada, Texas, and California were counting sheep the most, at around 6 hours and 49 to 51 minutes. For more health news, go to foxnewshealth.com. House Call for Health. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
Securing America.
A Senate Armed Services Subcommittee hearing Wednesday examined U.S. military readiness. Alaska Republican Senator Dan Sullivan.
We are living in a very dangerous world where our adversaries can and regularly do contest us across the globe.
Army Vice Chief of Staff General James Mingus warning.
Our adversaries are moving faster than we are.
Military branch representatives agreed that the biggest reason for that is a lack of consistent funding. General Mingus adding.
Ultimately, the Army can afford a large, ready, or modern force, but with the current budget, it cannot afford all 3.
Admiral James Kilby is the Vice Chief of Naval Operations.
Consistent and predictable funding is foundational to our improvement efforts.
All of the military leaders testified that continuing resolutions used to fund the government negatively impact military readiness. Kevin Uretzky, Fox News.
The Extra 106.3 app is your live connection to the station, streaming free across Georgia. But it's also loaded with all our original shows and podcasts. Listen to exclusive shows from Janelle King, Ben Burnett, and so many more. Grab the Extra 106.3 app now and start streaming.
So we let you know everything that was happening with Fonnie Willis and what to expect out of the Fonnie Willis hearing in the last segment. Let's move on since we have a legal expert. And I didn't realize until just a few minutes before you got here, a former Navy JAG, too.
Yeah, that was my first job out of law school.
That's cool, man. I was definitely not a JAG. I cleaned more toilets than I did anything. I was just regular old topsider on
but you worked for a living.
Yes, sir, I did. Yeah. Let me tell you, it's the best sparkling toilet you've ever had in your whole life. Let me tell you,
Deck division, right?
That's right. Yeah, they're like, look at this guy. He's the best cleaner we have.
I had never heard the stories of Tug, who's not a smoker, how he would always have cigarettes on him because he's like, that's how I got the longest break. Just go sit outside with a cigarette. Wouldn't even touch it.
You wouldn't. Nobody else got.
And a cup of black coffee.
Yeah, right. Smoke breaks is how you got a break in the Navy, and I didn't smoke, but I was like, okay, I can figure this out. I buy a package, just like Los is saying, I buy a pack of cigarettes and I'd light it and I just hold it for hours, and, whatever, and then I would just hand it off to one of the smokers. They were like, yeah. I was like, you want this? Because I'm going back in. They're like, you're not going to smoke it? And I was like, I don't smoke. They were in disbelief. They were like, yeah, this is smart. I like
good
the way
Navy
you work.
tricks.
I like the way you work. Well, let's talk about some of the pardons, and I want to get your, because we talked about this morning, Los and I. Are these pardons, can they hold up? I imagine that there will be some way to weasel out of it. But the pardons that Joe Biden, blanket pardons for half his family, the January 6th committee, and so many others. But we've now learned that those pardons weren't signed by Joe Biden. It was the auto pen that signed it. Constitutionally, you physically have to sign it for it to be legal. Is there any way that some of that can come back?
All right, so let's unpack that. I mean, this is all, we're in unplowed ground here. This is the kind of stuff that's really never happened. I mean, normally, all right, Tug, if you and I have a contract and you're going to buy a car from me, it's a buy and sale agreement. If I don't have the mental capacity that's necessary to legally enter into an enforceable contract, the contract might very well be void, and there will be a defense to enforcement. And likewise, if I take a legal action, if I sign a document, if I sign an affidavit, I've got to have what's called testamentary capacity, or to sign a will. It means I've got to kind of know what I'm doing legally.
So you can't take advantage of people that don't know what they're doing.
Otherwise, it could negate it. Now, the question is, does that same sort of a concept apply to presidential actions such as the signing of a pardon? And there's the answer is it's not really quite so clear, and here's why. This is not typical contract law. Everything that the president does in his or her official capacity is governed by the Constitution, right? So the Constitution says that if there's a question about the mental capacity of the president, there's the 25th Amendment and the process that the 25th Amendment sets out for dealing with the mental incapacity of a president. I am of the I'm of the legal opinion. Again, this is just my opinion. Other people might come down differently on this, but some people actually have the same position as me. From a pure constitutional perspective, if there's a question about the president's mental capacity to take certain actions, that is probably the sole and exclusive remedy, because the Constitution, by setting out the process in the 25th Amendment, it probably means that all other traditional avenues to challenge capacity are probably foreclosed, simply because we're talking about the president. It's a very unique, very limited, very specific situation. So I believe, unfortunately, that because nobody acted on the 25th Amendment, we're never going to know. And so I think that this is we would call, the courts would call this a non-justiciable, sort of a political question. The courts, I think, would not want to get involved in litigation that looks back to determine if Joe Biden was mentally competent to take the actions that he took. It's just the kind of thing that courts will say, because of the Constitution, the 25th Amendment, that is the remedy for a non-compos mentis president, and that's the exclusive remedy. We, as the courts, are not going to create another way to attack these. You may not like the answer, but that's my opinion,
kinda what I expected.
It's just based on my understanding of how the Constitution works.
And Phil Holloway is our guest. And Phil, I'm not asking you to wear a tinfoil hat. That's what I do.
Okay.
Like, I put on the tinfoil hat. But does it not seem strange that for a former president, we haven't seen Joe Biden since January 9th. It just disappeared. And so the question of mental capacity is no longer on the table because he's no longer in public.
Yeah, he's not in public. And look, those of us who lived through the 4 years of that administration, we saw, I mean, think about the debate that he and Donald Trump had. What is it, May of last year, well before the conventions. When does that ever happen? They don't do debates pre-convention, but they did that so that I think the world could see, the true Joe Biden, that he does.
That was the Democrats' maneuver.
He did have some diminished capacity there, a lot of it maybe. And so it stands to reason that if he was in that kind of bad shape in the spring or early summer last year, that fast forward to today, he's certainly not going to be in any better shape. They're not going to be bringing him out in public.
But that's the thing that raises the questions for me, right, as far as the legality of what he did. Sure, I understand that the courts are not going to go back. I understand why.
We don't have a legal precedent at all for any of this.
Right.
It just never happened.
So I get that, but at the same time, I want to know who signed them because he didn't. He was incapable.
I think what needs to happen is the authorities that do exist to investigate the government, the Department of Justice, you've got Congress, there needs to be thorough and robust investigations into the previous administration, specifically on the question of who knew how bad he was and what did they do to cover it up. And if they committed a crime, by doing so, they need to be prosecuted. Now, that's probably not going to undo any executive actions, but at least it can help the American public understand who was responsible for that train wreck.
CBS News said that was the most underreported story of the year. And I couldn't help but think to myself, I'm sure like you did and like Los did, be like, you're the media. You had every chance to do it. And then when they were in the clear, when they were safe, then they bring it up. Now it's like, I feel like it's going to be a money-making thing. It's nothing to do with tell the truth because I don't believe the mainstream media is in the business of telling the truth.
Well, you got Jake Tapper and CNN and those that are now.
That's the first of many.
They are now, pretending that they weren't part of the cover-up, right? You can find plenty of examples where they, on CNN and elsewhere in the mainstream media, they literally covered up for him. And they're saying, oh, my goodness, maybe there was a problem there after all.
Yeah, you're the problem. That's why nobody listens to you. That's why mainstream media viewership is through the floor. Nobody's watching MSNBC. Nobody's watching CNN because nobody trusts them, and you shouldn't. And for that matter, you don't even have to trust Los and I. You don't have to trust Phil Holloway, our guest this morning. Go back and find out for yourself. Go back and read. Read differing opinions, differing point of views. Make your own decisions. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to Los. Don't listen to Phil. You figure it out on your own. But I think once you do that, once you start reading, you'll end up in the same conclusion that we have.
It's been my contention, Phil, that the media, the modern media, the legacy media, died on June 27th because for 4 years they told us he was fine.
Well, they stopped being media and they stopped doing journalism and they became advocacy organizations, and so they were and that's how it turns into propaganda. And once it turns into propaganda, it's not media anymore. And once the media is sort of in the tank for one political party, it's just not how our system is supposed to work.
And yet, that's exactly what they did with it. And Los has put it really well. They're still operating off that same playbook, yet the American people are not listening
it hasn't changed.
Anymore. They're still trying to do the same
They're still acting like it's the same power they've wielded for 30, 40 years.
Well, with power there comes responsibility, and I think they have a responsibility to objectively cover the news, cover whatever administration is in the White House, and if they abrogate that responsibility, then they just, like I said, they're just propagandists. That's it.
See, that's the Spider-Man responsibility, but Tug has never seen any Marvel movies, so he just doesn't understand that with great power comes great responsibility, Tug.
I've heard people say it before, though. It makes sense to me.
It sounds good.
It makes sense to me. You can convince me otherwise.
Who is this Spider-Man you speak of?
The last time I did watch the early 2000s, Tobey Maguire, Spider was the last ones that I watched. I don't get into the Marvel. I don't get into the
I look to make
Star
Game of
Wars,
Thrones references with him or all these. And I have to remember that he spent 4 years on a ship. And so if it falls in that time period, no chance.
Look, they had Game of Thrones in the Navy.
Well, I didn't see it. I was out by then. It was funny. My wife watched it. I went up there and watched the first episode, and I was like, I'm out.
I'm like, Tug, bend the knee. And he's like, what are you talking about, bend the knee?
I don't know what that
What's the big deal
means.
about bend the knee?
Yeah, you probably get the references.
Oh, yeah. Of course. I watched it all. I love it.
There we go. Phil Holloway, I hope it won't be the last time you come in.
No, I look forward. Thanks for having me in, guys.
Oh,
Enjoyed
my
it.
gosh. It's great to have experts, opinion experts, legal points of view on this show, because Lowe's and I just call it like we see it. Don't necessarily mean I'm a 3-time college dropout, Phil. Lowe's has his master's degree, so you can see the yin and yang in here, you know?
Well, it's been a lot of fun. Thanks so much.
You betcha, man. Can't wait to, like I said, get you back. The Dems used to say Doge was a great thing, but those days are over. 6 o'clock hour brought to you by Subaru of Gwinnett.
The legend Neil Bortz is only on Extra 106.3. Hey, it's the camera. How's it going? Here's what you missed from the Talkmaster.
I admire most of what Donald Trump is doing. I wish he'd slow down Elon Musk, not in what he's doing, but how he acts. I love what Elon Musk is doing. But, hey, guy, don't dance around with chainsaws. I'm not even allowed to own a chainsaw.
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 or listen anytime on the Extra 106.3 app.
Neil Bortz here. Maybe you've already taken the steps to improve your health, maybe save your life. You're using a CPAP for your sleep apnea. I've been using one for well over 20 years. So right now, I'm here to tell you about a source for CPAPs and CPAP supplies here in the Atlanta area. CPAPs, etc. They're in Alpharetta. They have whatever you need. Roddy and Sharon are your CPAP experts, and they'll ship nationwide. More information, CPAPs.com.
Have you thought about securing your hard-earned assets? Do you have concerns about the future? Protecting assets is crucial, and that's where Nelson Elder Care Law excels. As a family-owned and family-focused firm, we provide absolute assurance and peace of mind through our trademarked Absolute Protection Trust, tailored services in estate planning, probate administration, Medicaid crisis solutions, guardianship, and conservatorship. Our goal is to exceed your expectations and empower informed decisions. Visit NelsonElderCareLaw.com for asset protection and peace of mind.
Hi, I'm Chris Lalamia, owner of the Trusted Toolbox. Got a to-do list a mile long? No problem. We've got the ultimate solution, our Handyman for a Day program. Here's how it works. You get a skilled handyman dedicated to knocking out your honey-do list. Paint touch-ups, drywall repairs, door adjustments, and much more, all done in one day. You want to jump into spring and not worry about your home? Call us now before the rush for your Handyman for a Day, and call us at 770-623-3097 or visit us at thetrustedtoolbox.com. One call, one handyman, one day. The Trusted Toolbox.
During tax season, your personal info travels to a lot of places you can't control. Between payroll, your home office, your tax preparer, and the IRS, if your W-2 gets exposed, that's just the ticket for identity thieves. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. This hour is presented by Van Sant Law. VanSantLaw.com.
A potential government shutdown looms this weekend. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. After Senate Democrats told Republicans they will not support the House-passed spending bill ahead of Friday's deadline, GOP Senator Ashley Moody tells Fox,
we're going to do everything we can to keep this government open. We're going to be the adults. We're going to let them throw their tantrum.
The House-passed CR aims to cut non-defense spending by roughly $13 billion, which Republicans say is essential. Democrats fear it will allow the Trump administration to dismantle more government, cut taxes for billionaires, and funnel corrupt contracts to SpaceX without protecting Social Security and Medicaid.
That's Fox's Kristen Goodwin. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is in Canada for a two-day meeting of G7 allies where tariffs will be a big issue after Canada and the European Union announced retaliatory tariffs to the U.S.'s levies on steel and aluminum imports. Helping Ukraine in the war against Russia, also a topic at that meeting as we await Russia's response to Ukraine agreeing to a 30-day ceasefire. President Trump again suggests sanctions on Russia.
I want to see peace, and we'll see. But in a financial sense, yeah, we could do things very bad for Russia. It would be devastating for Russia, but I don't want to do that because I want to see peace. And we're getting close to maybe getting something done.
Today, the president will meet at the White House with the leader of NATO, which has been helping U.S. arm Ukraine in that war. An anti-Trump protest in New York City. Demanding who they call a political prisoner be freed. That's outside the court where a federal judge ordered Mahmoud Khalil to remain in custody in Louisiana while still considering the U.S. attempt to deport Khalil, a legal resident with a green card, accusing him of supporting Hamas in anti-Israel protests at Columbia University last year. Disappointment for SpaceX.
Unfortunately, we are scrubbing for today's launch.
A hydraulic issue delayed a mission to the International Space Station to bring 2 stranded astronauts home. Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams have been there since June after the Boeing spacecraft that took them there had technical problems. America's listening to Fox News.
When you hear the term living better, what do you think about? More money? A bigger house? Maybe a yacht? What about how you feel physically? How you wake up each day? How you sleep? What activities you can and cannot do? When you feel good, life is good. So if pain is affecting your life, see how Relief Factor can help. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, it doesn't just mask pain temporarily. It helps reduce or even eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. So give their 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call, 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're hurting, in 3 weeks or even days, Relief Factor can give you a chance to rediscover the true meaning of living better again. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Hey, it's your old pal Neil Bortz. I'm back on Atlanta's only conservative news talk station, Xtra 106.3. Okay, here's more of the Morning Extra.
Tucking us until 10 on Extra 106.3. But you okay over there?
I tried to pull people off sides last night. So I was listening to Ryan Clark from ESPN talking about how, Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback from Colorado, how
I saw this.
They have issues with him because, the league's not really sure what they're going to do with a black quarterback. And I was like, oh, when I put it on Twitter, I was like, well, that's why no black quarterback's been drafted in the top 10. Now, that's being very facetious.
Of course. We know.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, we know.
And then all I could think about on the way home as I was finishing up volleyball practice was as the posts started to come in, I was like, how do I downplay whether a quarterback is black or not? So when you say, oh, what about Cam Newton, who was number 1 overall in 2011? I was going to say, well, he also dresses like your trendy aunt or your really gay uncle, so he's not.
That's right.
And I was going to come up with excuses as to why Donovan McNabb was taken number 2 overall in 1999. I was going to be like, went to Syracuse, don't count.
Yeah, right. Just disqualify.
I was going to disqualify every single one, and so I'm glancing through the timeline and seeing some of these things, and I'm going like, oh yeah, I had plans.
In sports, that still works. In politics, no longer.
No.
You know what I mean? Like calling somebody racist just doesn't resonate in politics because it's been used so much that it has no meaning.
In sports, it still makes people go, oh.
It still works. And that's why people like that. They do that. They're like, I got this great plan. I'm going to be shocking today.
I don't know what I'm going to bring up on the morning show, so instead I'll just say everything is racist.
What do you think? And ESPN's like, yeah.
What a great idea.
But that's their MO. That's their method of operation.
Caleb Williams, he paints his fingernails. Not authentic. See, I had a line for every single person you brought up to me. Michael Penix Jr.
Yeah.
The Atlanta Falcons' future starting quarterback. I was like, cadaver ACLs in his legs.
Oh, see.
From white people.
Oh.
No longer counts.
Slow him down a little bit.
I was going to come up with different ways to dismiss every single one of these people that were brought up. Vince Young, raging alcoholic. No.
Doesn't count.
Michael Vick, dogfighting, went to federal prison.
Doesn't count. Actually,
and that was going to be the joke.
that one gives. He's actually
dogfighter went to federal prison.
Not all that bad.
And credit to him, he repaid everybody he owed money. So
that's the thing that when it first happened, I was like, oh my God, this dude is freaking nuts. Like, who does this? Who? And I grew up knowing about people chicken fighting and dog fighting. I knew about it. I didn't participate. I knew about it. It happened, on the outskirts of Dalton, in the way deep rural counties, Murray County and Chatsworth. There's some of that over there.
You ever been to a chicken fight?
Never. I've never been. I knew a lot. I knew they happened.
Growing up, Pearsall, Texas, it was my dad's uncle. And I remember asking him, why do they have all these roosters in these cages?
Well.
And he was like, well, son. So, yeah, you got to be pretty country.
Yeah, I heard the Gamecocks having
that stuff. Yeah.
Have you been, Jerry?
No. I don't think I would go, but I feel differently about a chicken fight than I would a dog fight.
Okay.
Dogs have more personality. They're man's best friend.
Right, I get that. But once you're around chickens a lot, they have a little bit of a personality too. Surprisingly. Aunt Peeps has got one named Kevin. Kevin has this big personality, man. Kevin's awesome. Kevin the rooster. He let me tell you, he takes care of the hens when there's hawks, because they're up in North Versailles. There's just hawks that circle. They see those. They know what's going on. And when a hawk lands on the tree, you see Kevin go out there and he corrals the hens, gets them to safety, and they've never lost a hen to a hawk because of Kevin. Kevin the rooster. He does good work, man. We like Kevin.
What a weird story.
It's the truth.
And that's why we like Kevin.
That's right. He takes care of the hens. He makes sure.
Didn't know about it. My thing with Michael Vick, everybody forgets, because the dogfighting thing happened, that took the story. Everybody forgets the last game before that, he was getting booed and gave the entire, I think it was Georgia Dome it was Georgia Dome at the time, gave everybody the double birds on his way out, because he was getting booed at his home stadium.
Wow. Yeah, it did happen.
Yeah, that's just not a shining moment.
Oh, here we go. This is what I needed right here. I know. I mean, Michael Vick didn't even go in the first round. I'm like, thank you. Like, let's keep all this going.
Let's stack it up. Let's
just
pile
keep
it up.
this energy running. I was like, Achilles Smith didn't count. Wasn't good enough.
Yeah, right.
Just going to go one after another. Steve McNair, shot and killed by his lover. Went to Alcorn State.
Yeah. Maybe.
Oh, pretty close.
Maybe. That's funny, man. I love it. Another thing I love is the fact that Donald Trump is doing what he said he would do. He's promises kept, promises made, promises kept. He's just doing what he campaigned on. And you see it all over social media, people that would have never voted for him or you wouldn't have expected to, saying, yeah, that's the reason I like him, is because he says what he's going to do, and then he does it. It's amazing. We've never seen a politician do that before. And maybe that's why, because he's not a politician, he's a businessman. He's doing what he campaigned on, and that is cleaning up the fraud, waste, and abuse. We know it exists. It's been the worst kept secret of the last 40, 50 years. We didn't know how deep and how devious it was. We didn't know what our money was being used for. We had no idea about any of that until Donald Trump got back into office, and then Elon Musk with Doge has gotten into the books of every federal agency. I think it's amazing, and I love it, and I want it to continue, and so does the American people. But you got to remember, there was a time when Democrats talked about Doge. It wasn't called Doge then. They just talked about, hey, we got to make sure that we clean up this fraud. Bernie Sanders led the charge. I mean, he was the one that so much fraud. We got to clean up this fraud. And he'd always zero in on the Pentagon. Former Navy sailor, I'm in favor of cleaning up the fraud in the Pentagon too. But this is what he sounded like back then.
Further, Mr. President, I will not deny for 1 second that there is waste and fraud and bureaucracy in almost every government program out there. I think we got to take a hard look at them all. And I believe that in addition to the Pentagon, we can save hundreds of billions of dollars a year by eliminating unnecessary bureaucracy.
Isn't that what Doge is doing? And you see Bernie Sanders, he was on Pod Save America talking about how we're in, this constitutional crisis. We're in this place where he is scared, Los. He used the word, I am scared about what is happening. These oligarchs that are running the government.
It's a new line, right?
Yeah.
Oligarchs.
Absolutely. You hear it tossed around. It's getting tossed around in Democrat circles. You see it on Democrat social media. 2011 is when he said that. What happened to the Bernie Sanders that would be proud, that would support this wholly.
It never existed.
Yeah, it was a game. It was a front.
Throwaway line.
And Joe Rogan figured that out the hard way because he was a Bernie bro.
He was a Bernie bro. He brought it up several weeks back about how he feels like he was snowed. That now you found out what these people are really about. I think what was interesting, so you had Andrew Schultz. He's been doing his thing in the podcast world. He's a comedian. Most notably when we played him when he had Charlemagne the God on last week. And Charlemagne, when he couldn't explain the Doge cuts. And he just was like, well, I don't know anything about that. And Schultz was like, wait, hold on a second. You can't bring that up and then just say you don't know anything about it. He's still on a comedy tour because his Netflix special just came out. So he's out and about. One of the things he brought up was something we talked about yesterday. Donald Trump is a billionaire, yet is able to talk to common Americans. And when he says, here's what we found, here's what the dollar figure is, that just reinforces the fact that he's speaking to regular Americans.
Yeah. And Nancy Pelosi, we'll play her. She says the same things. Well, she used to anyway.
We cannot keep our promises on Medicare. We simply must make the cuts in waste, fraud, and abuse in Medicare so that the benefits and the premiums are untouched.
Yeah. So that's what Trump is doing. And as Lois has aptly pointed out, you never believed it. It was always the show. I'm going to be the savior. I'm the government. I'm the representative. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to make sure we open up the books. Let's make sure everybody can see what's in the books, and let's take care of it. Let's do the right thing by the American people. Obama said it. Biden said it. Everybody said it. There's only one person brave enough to do it and take the arrows that are coming at him because he wants to do the work of the American people, what has been promised for decades and never done.
It doesn't resonate. Like, I think about if I was to go to Dalton, Georgia, and think about the most hole-in-the-wall
You'd love it.
Bar there.
Yeah.
All right. When I walk into the door and everyone gives me a look, in the thickest, most fake Mexican accent, I'm going to go, I am one of you. And they're going to go, what? Yes, I am one of you.
That's right.
And they're going to go, I don't think so, cowboy.
That doesn't sound legitimate. There.
Doesn't seem really. That's what
we recognize a real Mexican accent and a real hillbilly accent because that's all there.
That is what Bernie Sanders and Nancy Pelosi have tried to do. They've tried to talk to common Americans and been like, I am one of you.
That's
like, no,
right.
you're not.
No.
I know you're not.
Chuck Schumer, not.
In the same way when you drop me off in Mexico, how I know I'd die?
Yeah.
Because I'd walk in that same cantina and go, I am one of you. And they'll go, no.
And then they would break out revolvers.
No, you're not.
Like it's a Western, you know? These people never cared about doing the right thing. It was all about power. It was all about money. And that's what it boils down to in every situation. Let's move on. Let's not say that it's fraud, waste, and abuse. Let's go to COVID. Let's go to any other topic that you bring up that the federal government has any access to or discussion points about or control over. It is never about doing the work of the American people. It's definitely not with the Democrats, and most of the time not with the establishment Republicans. They do that. I'm one of you. They do that, but it's never about doing it. And it doesn't matter what they're discussing. It always comes back to, how do I line my pockets? How do I stay elected? How do I keep power?
You need to go to a Jewish wedding this summer.
I've never been to one.
Then you just throw it on out there. I am one of you.
Well, I'm a 16th, I think.
Okay. See if you can sell that one.
My great grandfather was.
I'm just trying to level with all of you so that you know that Doug Cowart. I'm supposed to be here. This is what we're doing. No, I think that there's
they'd sniff me out in a minute. You're trying to say?
Yeah, probably. But that is what we've had now. With politicians have been really good at being able to pretend like whenever there's a moment and they realize they can score political points, they try and pretend like they're for the common people. It is so different that. And I heard Jesse Kelly talking about this yesterday when I was driving home from volleyball practice. He talked about what it feels like right now to have an American government, an administration that seems like it's fighting for you. Like, how rare is that? And how that's why people are willing to give Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt, even when the economic data isn't exactly what you want. You feel like you have your own gladiators that are there doing what you want to have done.
And I would say the same thing, because you and I have talked about how we are tired of bloated federal spending and all that. But I'm willing to take a step back. And I know Thomas Massie isn't, and I'm not mad at Thomas Massie for this. I really am not.
No, I get it.
A lot of people are coming down on Thomas Massie, and I refuse to do it because I understand what he's saying. I feel differently for right now. At this moment, I'm willing to give Donald Trump the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, I'm going to give you this one continuing resolution, whatever, to get things in line, because I know you've got to get your arms around the enormity of the fraud, waste, and abuse and the waste of the federal government. I'm willing to give you that pass.
Well, Americans are so plugged in right now. The people that are paying attention, we all assume that because of what we voted for, that means there's going to be hardcore cuts across the board. And there are. That's what DOJ is there for. But Donald Trump is asking for this clean CR up front so that he can get the work done that he believes he needs to and believes he needs the money to do it. And then they're talking about cuts on the next round. That's where it becomes a pitfall. Because if you don't then have corresponding cuts on the next time around, now that really plays into exactly what Thomas Massie's doing, which is Washington always tells you it's going to cut, and it won't.
And it won't. And I'm
so
afraid,
he's just done playing the game with it.
And as I said, I'm not upset with him about it whatsoever.
But it's a leap of faith.
It is.
Thomas Massie's just like, y'all are like everybody else.
I've already left.
I've already left this reservation here.
There's nothing left.
Like, I know that none of y'all want to stop spending money, so that's where I'm going to be.
And they don't. 99% of them, Los. Thomas Massie's right about 99% of them.
Yeah.
They don't want to stop spending. They love patting their pockets.
Oh, yeah,
they love being in charge.
This is not being hypocritical in one bit, because we have talked about Thomas Massie about how he's one of the good guys. And on this,
one of the few.
I'm sitting back saying I'm actually impressed that even though you even have the top of the ticket in the United States president is pointing at Thomas Massie and going, why can't you get along and go along with this?
Because I refuse.
He's like, no, because I know that none of y'all are ever looking to cut.
I know where this ends. I know where this circle starts and I know where it ends, and then it just keeps going round and round.
But I think that ends up being, depending on what happens with the economic data and how this country turns, if we get through this position here, and now we come around to September, and it's time for what are we going to do? What are you going to pass? What's the budget going to look like? And you don't make the cuts that you have promised people, then now you come across as that person who was just messing with you.
And you're going to see the polling numbers reflect
I would think so.
And that's why I believe that most Americans feel like I do right now. Let's give him a moment.
Give him the moment.
And you have to.
Give him what's going to be needed in order to operate. Give him what he's asking for as of now. And then let's see if he gives it back to you. Because if the one thing we've seen in the first 53, 54 days, they have aggressively found ways to put the money that your children owe and your grandchildren back into their pockets.
That's right. And the whole thing of shutting the government down, you and I have talked about it, shut it down. Doesn't matter. And I'll say this again, because I think it's true. I think it gives the Trump administration time to even dig deeper in the things that aren't necessary. Because, right, you're getting rid. The only people that can show up during the government shutdown are the essential workers. And then you see how many people are actually essential. All this is doing, from my point of view, is putting a big spotlight on the non-essential nonsense that your federal government is charging you for through tax dollars and wasting your money. This does nothing but help DOJ's cause by shutting down. The Democrats don't even see it. They're too blind. They're too blind in their hatred of Donald Trump and Elon Musk now to even see the fact that they're screwing themselves.
When I end up in a federal worker cafeteria, I will not say I am one of you. Like, nope. Nope. I'm drawing a line right here.
Because I am not.
Dalton, Georgia, Tijuana, Mexico. I am one of you.
I am one of you.
But when it comes to there, I'll be like, nope. I'm just going to sit here and eat my Jell-O.
That's right. It's like, here's the other thing, man. These people, they've told you forever it's all about the environment. Nope. It was all about money. It was all about shifting who made money through energy in the environment. You got to drive an EV. Now they're setting EVs on fire. It was never. It was never about the environment.
Never about
it was all about money and power and shifting it to the who they wanted to have the money and the power.
Always coming back to influence.
Always. Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. Biden was reckless for 4 years, but tried to raid the piggy bank at the bitter end. That's the discussion next. We'll also do headlines. This is the Morning Extra. Tug of those until 10.
Everything to a Marxist is political. They lose their humanity. That's why they have so many atrocities in the communist countries. They're not Democrats. They're communists.
The Kimmer Show every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Hey, homeowners. It's Flounder, and I'm here to keep you warm. Well, I won't, but my friends at Dobbs Heating and Air will. As a new homeowner myself, I prefer working with local, family-owned companies who value what matters to me and treats my home like it's their own. The Dobbs family have a passion for what they do, and taking care of people is their primary goal. So if your home needs help staying warm right now, call Dobbs Heating and Air and experience the Dobbs difference. And check them out online at dobbshvac.com.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. You know, a great smile can make you more successful as well as make you happy. Yes, it's true. And your smile's waiting for you at my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler, my friend for 30 years and dentist forever. This woman at Atlanta Smiles, atlantasmiles.com, the dentist with a doggy. It's really true, whether it's just regular cleaning or bridges or crowns or are your teeth bothering a little bit, maybe a little ache or something, or your gums it's not going to get better on its own. Take it from me, I found that out the hard way. Taking care of your teeth and gums and everybody's happy. And by the way, you can relax with Dr. Dina. This is an individual, private VIP experience. The latest technology. She used AI to get my last thing done at my last visit. And don't forget the doggies, a little doggy to take a nap in your lap while you're getting your work done. And this staff, these ladies are angels, I promise you. You'll love going there. A veteran herself, Dr. Dina, 10% veterans discount off the top. Tell them when you call. 404-262-7733. Your smile's waiting. Get the doggy at atlantasmiles.com.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on the station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to firstlibertyga.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to firstlibertyga.com. That's firstlibertyga.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
Hi, my name is Steve from Marietta, and we hired ATL Turf Co. to build our dream backyard golf setup. They installed a large 4-hole putting green, a sand bunker, a short game area, and did a full conversion to artificial grass around the pool with decorative retaining walls. ATL Turf Co. was really creative. They were efficient. The installation was a breeze. Price was completely reasonable, and I definitely appreciated their communication throughout the project. I would definitely recommend ATL Turf Co. to anybody thinking about doing a backyard makeover. You can check them out online right now at atlturfco.com.
The Ford Truck Month Blowout Sale at Jim Ellis Ford Sandy Springs is here, and there's never been a better time to drive home a 2024 Ford F-150 from Jim Ellis Ford Sandy Springs.
Right now, save up to $15,000 off MSRP on select models. So much power, so many possibilities. Whether you need a tough workhorse or a truck loaded with luxury and tech, the F-150 is built to handle it all.
With so many F-150s to choose from and an easy buying process, Jim Ellis Ford Sandy Springs makes finding your perfect truck simple and hassle-free.
Just 4 miles north of 285 on Roswell Road, Jim Ellis Ford Sandy Springs is one of the largest selections of new and used Fords in Atlanta.
From rugged Broncos to family-friendly Explorers and America's best-selling trucks, your next Ford is waiting.
Visit JimEllisFord.com or stop by today.
Jim Ellis Ford Sandy Springs, where you can always expect the best.
2024 Ford F-150 XLT. Example stock number F12762L. MSRP is $59,995. After Jim Ellis discounts, final sale price is only $44,145. Just add TAVT and state fees. Offer expires March 31st, 2025.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your headlines for Thursday, March 13th. The city of Marietta is taking a new approach to homelessness. A resolution passed by the city council on Wednesday bans unauthorized camping on private property. One of the main areas of concern is along Bells Ferry Road, where neighbors and police say 911 calls are now almost a daily occurrence. Police Chief David Beam says officers will give violators a few days' time to pack up and leave before issuing citations. Former state representative Eric Allen won the Democratic special election runoff for District 2 of the Cobb Board of Commissioners. Allen will now face off against Republican Alicia Adams in the April 29th general election. SpaceX's mission to retrieve the stuck American astronauts was delayed Wednesday. The earliest opportunity for another launch attempt is Friday. The astronauts have now been in space for 9 months. Today's weather, cloudy with a high of 74 degrees. Tomorrow looks the same. Showers are expected this weekend with a possibility of severe storms that could produce tornadoes. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne.
7 o'clock hour is brought to you by Van Sant Law Group. If you're in an accident, make the right call. VanSantLaw.com. The Biden administration did so many things that were detrimental to America, and they did them on purpose. There was never a noble cause behind opening the doors to the United States, just kicking them wide open and them leaving them there for 4 years. And you see this in the population growth. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But there was never a noble cause. And at the end, Joe Biden, he did what every ghoul does. He did what every person that is trying to ruin a nation does, and that is raid the piggy bank. But he did it like it was out of control in the final months leading up to the end of his presidency. He knew exactly what he's. And I hesitate. Maybe I shouldn't say he because he had no idea what was going on. But the people that were running the administration in his name were raiding the piggy bank.
The one who were really in charge?
Yeah.
So Charles Gasparino had this on Twitter yesterday, and the note was about what this administration, the Trump administration, is trying to pull themselves out of. What occurred at the end of the Biden administration. At the end, as you got into the final quarters of the administration, in the interest of trying to secure power, as much as I know that Joe Biden and Jill Biden did not have a problem with Kamala Harris being beaten, the rest of that administration did. They wanted to hold power. And what did they do? As Gasparino puts it forward, they increased federal spending by as much as $300 billion in the final months of his presidency to juice the economy and the markets and help Kamala Harris get elected. They spent a crazy amount of money. When we called things a sugar high, I hope you're now seeing what it looks like as the markets fluctuate but now return back to normal. What happens when you get federal dollars out of the marketplace? You now are going to see home prices level off. You're going to see the stock market level off.
And you've already started seeing it.
You're going to see inflation that's going to cool off.
Which we got yesterday.
And as much as like for the past several years, you've had the Biden administration point to the Fed. They've looked at the Federal Reserve and they're like, so y'all going to cut interest rates? Are you going to increase interest rates? What are you going to do to get this economy under control? They never could have done anything because the government was spending so much crazy money. It wouldn't have mattered. Why, when you think that every single time there was an interest rate increase and we weren't seeing a significant change to inflation or to what was going on in the marketplace? Like normally that's supposed to be the lever that you press. Let me move this up. That's going to slow down the economy. Everything will cool off. And
but it never did.
It cooled off from 2021, but it never fully cooled off.
Yeah.
It's because of all the spending.
And then now, and I do believe that's why the American people are giving Donald Trump some leeway with the economy, because that's what got him elected. The border and the economy. He's fixed the border. He's already proven himself. He delivered on that promise. Now he's working on the economy, and you're seeing the fruits of his labor, even 50 days in. But he was handed a fiscal bomb that was about to explode. You hear it described as the fiscal cliff. We're about to drive off the fiscal cliff. And that you're talking about with the Gasparino post on X, on Twitter, does nothing but highlight it for everybody. They don't have to be economists to understand when you spend like that, it's going to make everything go up because the value of the dollar goes down.
And as Gasparino finished it off his tweet, he said, they say this spending spree provides an insight into the mountain of debt and deficits that Trump must start to eliminate. All right, that's where we're at. That's what is going on, which is that balancing act of a continuing resolution and enhanced spending, yet you still have Doge and you're trying to basically get this thing back on track. The Biden administration did everything on its way out the door to fake juice the economy. They were the original HGH users, okay? Like in sports, when everyone's like, human growth hormone.
That's right.
They basically were like, plug it into my veins, make it look better than it really is. We haven't put the work in, but let's see if we can get the results so that Americans think, man, this economy's roaring.
When they saw Barry Bonds' head get bigger.
America went, what's going on there?
That's Barry's head is larger.
That feels strange.
That's not what happens. Nobody's head gets bigger after they're an adult.
How are you 180 pounds for the first 12 years of your career, and then in the last 7-8 years, you're 240 pounds? Weird.
Odd.
And it's all rip.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Mark McGwire, too. Look, but it worked. It worked for them, and it worked at least for a little bit for Biden because he was able to artificially make things look a certain way. And then his minions on MSNBC and CNN were able to go to and say, see how wonderful it is? You're doing great. And they always, I know the 401k is always what they went to. How's your 401k? Oh, it looks great, but I have to have double to be able to live or to retire.
That was the factor. The underlying factor was that Americans knew something wasn't right.
Yeah, you could feel it. You could sense it. You could smell
it. You knew that there was something wrong with this economy. And so as much as the economy and the border, inflation and the border were the two biggest players when it came to the previous election, why was inflation such a big deal? Why was the economy such a big deal? Because Americans, for everything you were told that everything's great, they're like, this doesn't feel like it felt 3-4 years ago.
It doesn't feel great. It feels very brittle. And that was the word that
it was fugazi.
Yes, that's right. Scott Bessent, though, he used the word brittle. And I really thought brittle was such a good word when he was describing it because that's the way it's felt to me. You just feel like there could be the leg kicked out from under the table at any point, and you weren't sure what was going to cause this potential collapse that felt inevitable. It's like when you know that the tidal wave's coming, you just hadn't seen it yet, and it's off way in the distance, and the meteorologists, they're telling you, hey, there is a tidal wave coming. And you're standing there waiting on it. You can't see it, but you can sense it, you can feel it, and that's exactly what was happening. I feel bad for people that don't understand that or don't see it, because still on my social media pages, people that I care about, people that I like a whole lot,
they just don't like you anymore.
Yeah, well, they've stopped, yes.
They've decided that they don't like Tug Coward any longer, even though Tug's heart hasn't changed one bit.
And won't. And I'm going to love them in spite of it. But I see their posts, and it's almost like, the Democrats, because they're still doing it this day, they all record the same script.
Yes.
And they'll read it, and then they all share it on the social media platforms. That happened yesterday. It's happened several times this week. My Aunt Peg and another dear friend that I have used to be an airline pilot, and he was just going down the path of, see, Elon Musk, his business is falling apart. That's what happens when you team and hitch your trailer to Donald Trump. It's a failure, and I've seen that everywhere in media. First, it was Donald Trump. The only reason Elon's there, he's trying to weasel his way in to get these great contracts and make himself more money. And then it flipped.
Then it turned into, wait a minute, that's not working.
Yeah. Then it went to, see, he's losing all this money.
As Donald Trump eliminated EV mandates, and as he pointed out, even on the White House lawn, he should have called to say, let's not get rid of these, and he didn't.
Of course.
Talking about Elon Musk, this benefits him, and he didn't make one phone call to reinstate the EV because, in this case, he makes a quality car.
And now they're saying, well, Elon, he's in real bad shape. He's losing so much money. He's going to have to stay with Donald Trump to make sure that he gets his way so his businesses continue to flourish, because just being in contact with Donald Trump is destroying his business model.
That man sneezed $44 billion and bought Twitter. He sneezed it.
Didn't bother him at all. And was made fun of.
In fact, one of the fun parts about all of it was when 2 years ago I had people on the left that were like, see, he's not going to buy it. I was like, no, he's going to buy it, dude. I was like, trust me on this. One of us has a master's in business. The other one of us tweets for free.
That's right. Just give it a moment. Just give it. And it's kind of like that with the improving of the economy, right? You just see tiny, you see glimmers of hope. And if you give it time, if you're willing to give it time, it will return, because the goal is to have the American economy be be this roaring machine, this great engine that it's always been. But the Democrats don't want that. It was never about creating a great economy for the American people. It's never about that.
Creating economic independence is not in the interest of big government. Right. It never has been. The less that you have to rely on government, the worse it is for big government. It's harder to grow government and the size of it if people go, I don't need you. I'm taking care of myself.
Yeah.
I'm not going to vote for this. By the way, is it wrong that if I went on my Forsyth County politics page and pointed out the obvious?
No, I don't think so. I think
Because there's like
that's what the forum's for, right?
There's like 3 or 4 trolls that are on there, and they troll every day. And since they get people to respond, like they're considered like, ooh, they're really prime posters.
Yeah.
And I just at some point, like Linda, I want to tell Linda.
Hi, Linda.
Linda, I'm actually paid to research and give good informed opinions. You spout out this crap for free.
And it's all wrong.
And you can't wait every day to spout out more leftist crap in the interest of what? So you get some interaction on a Facebook page.
And you're a top contributor.
How sad.
Your badge.
How very sad. I'm like, at least I'm paid to do this.
Right.
Jared's paid to do this. Tug's paid to do this. You're
Linda.
spouting out crappy stuff on Facebook for free.
But I hate to see my Aunt Peg and the people that I like.
She's doing it for free, too.
I know. That's my point. And they've gotten it so wrong. But you can tell where their talking points has come from because much like I was saying with the Democrats recording the same script, and it happens. I see Aunt Peg post it, and then different Chip, but a guy named Chip terrific dude, I see him post it. And then I see, 3 or 4 other of my connections, people that I'm acquainted with, and some that I love to death. I see them all post the exact same things. They'll put it in their own words most of the time. They're not as bad as the Democrats using an exact script, but it's from the same point of view, and it always forms by what they saw on MSNBC or CNN. So the population grew.
By the way, you want to know what this foolish person
is this
put
Linda?
out there? Trump declines to rule out recession amid tariffs and effects on markets. Seem to remember he ran on a strong economy promise.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And, of course, it's always a graphic. It's always
yeah.
the thing. and you just want to go.
That's because Facebook's told them you get more interaction that way.
Right. It's like, this is what you do all day long. And then the problem is then you have the follow-up of all like 3 or 4 other people that are like, you're an idiot.
Yeah, right.
And it goes round and round every single day.
Yeah.
It's really tiring.
Do you remember what Angela Morbido said the other day about all this? These people need to go touch some grass.
Yes.
Go outside, enjoy the spring weather, get some sunshine.
Keyboard warriors, they're not going to do that.
Take a breath.
Yeah, one of the All-Star contributors went ahead and pointed out, down over 800 points and still going, # we voted for this.
Yeah.
And then he gets to have his badge on Facebook.
Yeah. Well, but that's a win for him.
I guess so.
I mean, that's
his hairline ain't.
Hey, easy on that. Just because you and Dre have great hairlines, don't make fun of the people that don't.
I mean, look, he looks like he would drive an ice cream truck in a shady neighborhood.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel bad for that sweet young lady that's
in the picture with him. That's a sister. That's not a...
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Ain't no way that's a wife.
Yeah. That's right.
Just pointing out the obvious.
Yeah, it happens.
Unless he's one of those guys that just likes to watch.
Oh, God, loves.
Yeah. Just pointing it out.
You just drove us into it.
Haven't you listened to the Kimmer Show?
No, I try to avoid.
Haven't you heard what Kimmer calls every one of those guys?
I have, no.
Don't you remember when we had to take Inauguration Day and go, please don't look up anything he's saying right now?
Yes. He continues with it. Yeah, I try to avoid if I can. At least a lot of it. It's just, some of that stuff is...
And he's doing that for free, by the way, all on Facebook. Me... Yeah. I'm here every morning.
Well, at least that's the other thing. At least Kimmer's getting paid. That dude's
doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. So what a mess. But people they find it's like they find their small victories. And look, take your small victory, whatever helps you get up in the morning and live your life. And I just can't imagine being angry all the time.
Funding to help schools and food banks buy food from local farmers has been cut.
Of course.
And then for the next 30-some people going, that's not true. And now it's...
Nope. I mean, nobody listening to this show believes that. Everybody knows what's happening. The actual the actual good that's being done.
I mean, I was sitting there trying to tell him, maybe you should lay off a little bit of that farmer's food.
Just calling him fat in a nice way.
Go pet your cats.
That's right.
Touch grass.
Yeah, just touch it like Angela said. God bless her. Glad that she came in this weekend. We need to get her back in very soon. Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. Doge and the Social Security lie. Wonder what they'll say on the Focus on Forsyth Facebook page about that.
How do you get fat eating like nothing but green beans?
I don't know. Eating a lot of green beans? I don't know.
Like, how do you get fat off of like nothing but broccoli? Like, do you just have to put cheese on it?
Yes. And probably not even real cheese like Velveeta. It's not even real cheese. All right, when we come back, we'll jump into the Social Security lie on Extra 106.3.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
These are your sports headlines for Thursday, March 13th. The Atlanta Braves continue spring training action this afternoon, this time from Clearwater, as they travel to play the Philadelphia Phillies. First pitch is set for 105. You can listen to that game on our sister station's app, 680 The Fan. From the NFL, quarterback Aaron Rodgers is a free agent for the first time in his career, as he was designated by the New York Jets as a June 1st cut. Rodgers is now permitted to talk with any team in the league about their starting quarterback job. And the Atlanta Hawks have now won 4 straight as they beat the Charlotte Hornets last night, 123-110. Trae Young with 35 points, 12 assists, and 7 rebounds. The Hawks are off until Friday night when they will host the LA Clippers at State Farm Arena. With your headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
Central Heating and Air Conditioning wants you to know, at the start of a new season, it's the perfect time to ensure your home's comfort. Don't wait like most people to have your HVAC system serviced. Your home should have maintenance twice a year. Maintenance, of course, helps keep your system running at peak efficiency and extends the life of your equipment. Turn to Atlanta's Carrier experts to get that maintenance agreement. 770-GET-HEAT is the number, or centralheat.com is the website. With Central, you get Carrier products, Carrier warranty, Carrier peace of mind. Plus, it's allergy season. I don't know about you, but man, I have been sneezing out of control. I don't know, something blooming. I don't know what's going on. If I'm outside, I'm sneezing, and it's almost instantaneous. When I walk out the door, I can just feel the sneeze coming on. With it being allergy season, Central can fix what ails your house and possibly your family's health with home ventilation, air quality products. They've got packages designed around your house health and your home's health with variable speeds, fresh air ventilation, air cleaners, air purifiers, dehumidifiers. Call Central Heating and Air Conditioning, one of the few second-generation locally owned HVAC companies in Atlanta. You are a member of the family when you call Central. Been that way since 1947. Over 100,000 customers served right here in Metro Atlanta. 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com.
A musician with technical knowledge can play all the right notes. But one who cares enough to play from the heart gives music soul. At Truist, we believe the same is true for banking. Because when you work with someone who knows a lot and cares even more, you're unstoppable. Truist, leaders in banking, unwavering in care. Start feeling unstoppable. Visit Truist.com/care. Truist Bank, member FDIC, leading based on top 10 U.S. commercial bank.
Now is the time to go electric and save big during Jim Ellis Chevrolet EV Super Sale.
Right now, get $5,000 off MSRP on all Equinox EV RS models and a massive $14,500 off MSRP on all Silverado EV work trucks.
Chevy EVs are designed to go the distance, delivering the performance, range, and technology you need without the gas pump.
And with so many models to choose from, finding your perfect EV has never been easier.
Jim Ellis Chevrolet makes buying simple and hassle-free. No high-pressure sales, just a transparent customer-first approach.
Plus, their finance experts work with you to secure the best rates and terms.
Shop in person on Peachtree Boulevard.
Or visit JimEllisChevrolet.com to make the switch today.
2024 Silverado EV. Example stock number SCV4001. MSRP is $73,345. After the Jim Ellis $14,500 discount, final sale price is only $60,845. 2025 Equinox EV RS. Example stock number EEV5021. MSRP is $48,535. After Jim Ellis $5,000 discount, final sale price is only $43,535. Just add TAVT and state fees. Expires March 31st, 2025. spot.
Jim Ellis Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
Calling all contractors. Stovall & Company Wholesale Landscape Supply is here for you.
We've been family owned and operated for more than 75 years, and we just opened our 11th location in Canton, Georgia.
We are proud to provide all your wholesale irrigation, nursery, and landscape supply needs.
We are partnered with Keystone Hardscape to offer a wide variety of products to enhance any outdoor living space.
Here at Stovall, we have it all. Check us out at StovallInc.com or visit any of our convenient locations throughout North Georgia.
This is Bruce Hagan, the people's lawyer. When I started my firm, it was with the idea of providing personal representation for personal injury cases. We treat everybody like family, and it makes me so proud to work with my son to provide a great family-oriented law firm.
This is Matt Hagan. As a father-son team, we know the importance of working together to get our clients back on their feet. Let us here at Hagan Law be your advocates. You can find everything you need to know at hagen-law.com.
hagen-law.com.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Saunders offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO and PPO with Medicare contracts. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
Attention, Atlanta. It's the biggest truckload safe sale of the year at the Safe Market and Liberty Safes of Atlanta. And it's happening for 3 days only. We're unloading American-made safes at up to 40% off. Gun safes, home security safes. With 3 convenient locations, there's never been a better time to buy. Hurry, because when the truck's empty, the deals are gone. Shop online or come to one of our 3 stores for even better savings. Thursday, March 20th through Saturday, March 22nd only. Call 770-242-0055 or visit thesafemarket.com now.
Xtra 106.3 is proud to be your conservative voice in Atlanta, and we offer a huge slate of original podcasts. Head over to thepodcastpark.com and grab the podcast that you love, all presented by Associated Credit Union.
Tuck and Lowe's on the Morning Extra. Be glad you're not part of the conversation.
just a line of trying to tell your wife to take her top off.
While we look at birds.
We're looking at birds. You not entertained?
Yes, come on.
You not feel warm?
Yes, this is great. What do you
Look at birds.
I was making fun of myself. I was throwing myself under the bus because at our house, we've gotten to the point where our breakfast nook in our house off the kitchen has big windows, right? And you can see out, and our property is mostly wooded. I mean, we have about an acre, and it, 3/4 of it, if not a little bit more, is wooded. So we see a lot of birds, a lot of wildlife. I told Lois about this huge woodpecker. I came home day before yesterday, and it was the size of a crow. It was huge, this woodpecker. I had to look it up. And, it's called, I think, a paleated woodpecker or something like that.
And it got them all hot.
Yeah, man. And Lois was like, what were you doing sitting in the car as you were watching this bird? I was like, nothing, man. What are you talking about?
Just sitting there. Just loving nature.
The vinyl's playing in the background.
Put on the vinyls again.
If you know, you know. That's right. Morning Extra and Extra 106.3.
Oh, gross.
So gross. And funny at the exact same time. 404-741-1230 if you watch birds in your backyard or some sort of wildlife, if that's your thing. Doge is not trying to eliminate Social Security, but that's the thing that I keep hearing the Democrats say. Well, they're going after the Social Security. There are huge cuts coming to Social Security, and they're trying to scare people that are on Social Security to death.
Here's the nutty part, because you'll see the leftists out there, they'll jump on social media, and a lot of them are retirees, and I was checking my account to make sure I got my Social Security. All right, that's not what's in play here. All right, this is not about cuts to Social Security, even though we've talked about this for years, that there needs to be cuts to Social Security. But we, as an entire society, did not realize just how fraudulent and nasty this entire program really is. There are 334 Americans in this country, men, women, children. All right? There's a smaller percentage that are going to be able to draw on Social Security. Keep in mind that Doge has now found there are 394 million Social Security recipients.
394 million.
60 million more than people entirely in this country.
That live in the country altogether, yeah.
That is the waste, fraud, and abuse. That's a very easy number to understand. 334 million Americans. For instance, my daughters, myself, Tug, Jerry, none of us can draw on Social Security as part of that 334 million. Yet, the federal government has checks going out to 394 million people.
Oh, my God. I just have to write it down. Sometimes for me, it's visualizing. And I know it's easy math. But when you write it down, it makes it real. You're going, I know there's fraud, waste, and abuse. I had no idea that it was like this. And you probably didn't either. You probably realized that somebody's cheating the system. I mean, the government is fraught with fraud, waste, and abuse. We played earlier last hour Bernie Sanders talking about the fraud, waste, and abuse. We've got to clean it up. That was in 2008, I think, when he did it. Nancy Pelosi talking about, oh, my gosh, we have to clean up this fraud, waste, and abuse from 2011. Then you get a president that's finally brave enough to actually follow through with it, not make it lip service. And he points out to you that 390 million people are getting Social Security in a country of 330 million, and the Democrats are mad.
Let me give you another number, and this is by 2023. There are 59 million Americans that are 65 years or older, Social Security oriented. 59 million, 65 and older. Yet there are 394 million that are receiving Social Security. Explain that.
You can't explain it unless there's some sort of scheme. And some sort of kickbacks, and some sort of getting money sent to people that don't deserve it, don't need it.
That is what Elon Musk was referring to when he was on Twitter pointing out how we're going to change this phone system. People are like, you're going to make it harder to get your money. It's like, no, we need to change the system because people are fraudulently contacting Social Security and making changes to the account so that then they're getting the check.
Yeah, they're rerouting it somehow or other. Away from somebody that deserves
away from
it.
Somebody who's supposed to get it, away from that 59 million by the time it finds its way back over to that person. Now we've added another person to the dole who's just getting free money from the government.
And then you have the mainstream media that report that. And, of course, they twist it all up just to try to scare the daylights out of people that they're going to cut your Social Security, and you know that's not the case. If you're listening now, you know. But apparently not everybody knows because they have people that are scared to death. And there's no reason to be. And they've made it clear there's no reason to be. Go to the Doge website, read what is being cut. They will explain it to you very simply. And yet, the mainstream media, they're making a living. They're making a living off of twisting this into something that it's not.
As of now, as of 2023 numbers, it's the last time that we really track this stuff down. You have $1.35 trillion of spending that goes towards Social Security within this country, which represents 22% of the federal budget. When we talk about that 80% they'll never be able to touch, there's 22% of it right there. What if 8%, and that's a small number, what if 8% of that number is faulty?
I want it fixed.
Yeah.
And so do the American people. That's why the numbers behind Doge are so strong.
Why, in a country of 59 million people 65 years and older, why in a country of 334 million people are there 390 million people receiving Social Security?
Because somebody is taking the bank. Somebody's taking the check. Somebody's taking money that they don't deserve, don't need, and shouldn't have.
So whenever
and they're pissed that you know about it.
So whenever you hear, oh, they're going to cut your Social Security, just recognize, more than likely, that is somebody who's gaming the system. It's just like when you hear them talking about making these cuts to USAID. Because you were gaming the system. When you look at the amount of, and as it stands right now, it's congressmen, and you do have a couple senators from swing states that have already announced, I'm not running again.
Because
I wonder why.
Because they either are in or they know where the bodies are.
Is the money now drying up? Is that what's going on? Because that's the first thing I'm going to think. That's Occam's razor. The most obvious answer is probably the right one.
Answer. Yeah. I don't know how much longer MSNBC can just outright lie and CNN can just outright lie. Their audience is shrinking. At some point you think they would go, hey, this isn't working. Maybe let's go the other way. Maybe let's rely on the truth. Let's tell people the way it really is and see if our numbers, you've already failed. You already know that's not working. How long has that not been working? For at least a couple years.
Who's the biggest star at CNN?
Scott Jennings, the dude that tells the truth.
Who's getting a raise? Scott Jennings.
Yeah. Who's taking a pay cut? Rachel Maddow.
Everybody else.
So that's why I can't figure out why they don't see the ill of their ways. And it's because their Trump derangement syndrome clouds their judgment. They can't tell you the truth. They've already lied to you that long. They can't go back and be like, okay, I was lying to you. We're going to be truthful from now on, moving forward. Morning Extra and Extra 106.3. Trump's tax policy goals will put a smile on every American's face. I can't wait to tell you about it after a Neil Bortz report and a Fox News update next on Extra 106.3.
Time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
Oh, I see these federal workers demonstrating all over the place. I need my job. How dare you? The arrogance of these jerks is really getting on my nerves, as you can probably tell. But once again, the general media in this country, with some exceptions, on their side. How dare these Republicans come along and try to cut back on government spending and eliminate government jobs? Don't they understand that the greatest of all goals that anybody could ever seek is to get a job with government? Take a look at Atlanta. The government schools in Atlanta exist for one reason, and that is to train people to work for the city of Atlanta, maybe Fulton County, where it can take you 4 hours to get a sticker for your license plate. Now listen to this one. The USDA, boy, you talk about overspending. They run the food stamp program. They've given a college $600,000 to study menstrual cycles in transgender men and non-binary persons. The USDA says, a woman will have a monthly menstrual cycle for 40 years of her life, and we think it's important to recognize that transgender men and people with masculine gender identities, intersex, and non-binary persons may also menstruate. Think of all the families out there that had their tax money spent on studying menstrual cycles for transgender men. Money they could have spent on educating their children. Money they could have spent on health care, paying off their mortgage, buying groceries, fixing up a car that is needed to go to work. But no, the government, to which the Democrats say we all belong, wants that $600,000 to study menstrual cycles in transgender men. Oh, and non-binary people. I'm disgusted. I need to calm down. Decaf, it's Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
The Atlanta Braves Spring Training Series Behind the Braves, presented by Global Payments, is back for the 5th season. Hear from your favorite players and meet the new faces as they get to work in spring training in preparation for the 2025 season. Plus, enjoy exclusive interviews and go behind the scenes to see the team like never before. New episodes drop each week on youtube.com/Braves and locally on Peachtree TV and Atlanta's CW. Atlanta Braves Baseball. We are Braves country.
Ready to go electric in a big way? Jim Ellis Buick GMC has the revolutionary 2025 GMC Hummer EV SUV in stock and ready to drive home today with an incredible $11,000 off MSRP.
This all-electric powerhouse combines the capability of the Hummer EV pickup with SUV versatility, delivering cutting-edge technology and legendary off-road performance, all without a drop of gas. With up to 830 horsepower, available crab walk mode, and an ultra-fast charging system, the Hummer EV SUV redefines what's possible in an electric vehicle.
Drive electric, drive bold, drive the Hummer EV by visiting JimEllisBuickGMC.com or shop in Chamblee off Peachtree Boulevard just inside the perimeter or in Beaufort off Highway 20 near 985. Jim Ellis Buick GMC, we are professional grade. 2025 GMC Hummer EV SUV, example stock number GH028. MSRP is $99,690. After Jim Ellis discounts, final sale price is only $88,690. Just add TABT and state fees. Offer expires March 31st, 2025.
How do you jumpstart your day? With a Morning Extra on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
I don't know why it takes something catastrophic for the Democrats and those establishment Republicans. I don't know why it has to be catastrophic for them to finally see what's going on. How about we head it off before it becomes catastrophic?
WFOM and W292 EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. The 8 a.m. hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air.
A meeting of the U.S. and key allies. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Starting today, north of the border.
War is on everyone's mind as top diplomats from the world's richest democracies gather in Quebec. There are the potential trade wars following President Donald Trump's tariffs on steel and aluminum, not to mention retaliatory measures put in place by Canada and the EU. But the very real war in Ukraine could also reveal divisions among allies. Most are publicly supportive of the Trump administration's efforts to end the fighting.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. Now, President Trump has warned again of possible U.S. sanctions on Russia if it does not agree to a ceasefire offer Ukraine supports. A short time ago, a senior Russian official said that U.S. proposed ceasefire would help Ukraine's military. As Russian soldiers retake control today of more areas in the Kursk region that Ukraine captured in a counter-invasion last summer. NATO's leader, Mark Rutte, will go to the White House for talks today on the war, the day after President Trump said this ahead of a potential government shutdown.
It would be great if the Democrats would do what's right for our country for a change, because they really are there. They've lost their way.
As the Senate's Democratic leader, Chuck Schumer, says ahead of a funding deadline tomorrow night.
Funding the government should be a bipartisan effort. But Republicans chose a partisan path, drafting their continuing resolution without any input.
So Schumer says Democrats will not support that bill, but the GOP can't pass it without some Democrat votes. Here's something else the left doesn't like.
The death of the Green New scam is upon us.
EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin tells Fox they're rolling back environmental regulations from the Biden era aimed at fighting climate change.
It's the most significant, biggest deregulatory action in the history of the country. Trillions of dollars.
Zeldin says they'll undo rules on things like coal-fired plants and unwind standards on vehicle emissions that were aimed at getting us to switch from gas to electric cars. America's listening to Fox News.
When you hear the term living better, what do you think about? More money? A bigger house? Maybe a yacht? What about how you feel physically? How you wake up each day? How you sleep? What activities you can and cannot do? When you feel good, life is good. So if pain is affecting your life, see how Relief Factor can help. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, it doesn't just mask pain temporarily. It helps reduce or even eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. So give their 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call, 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're hurting, in 3 weeks or even days, Relief Factor can give you a chance to rediscover the true meaning of living better again. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Want weather? Grab your phone. Need traffic? Grab your phone. Conservative news and talk, also on your phone. Get the Extra 106.3 app.
Tuck and Los until 10. 404-741-1230. Morning, y'all. Appreciate you being here on Extra 106.3, caring about the things that matter when it comes to our country. And the fact that we have to work so hard to maintain freedom, because it is not natural for the world to have a beacon of freedom like the United States of America. Over history, over time, it's never been that way. It's always been a dictatorship. It's always been a monarchy. This is the unicorn of time, of history, the United States. It's not supposed to work this way. Human beings don't typically allow it to work this way.
It's designed by the founders to fix itself, that it can self-correct, that when the people recognize that there is something wrong with what is going on, that they can implement the sort of change in order to make it right. That's been the fight. That's the fight that's going on right now.
That's exactly right.
It's the government basically, you know what they're doing? They're treating us all like vampires. They're holding up their wooden crosses and showing us their stakes. That's right. Stay away from us. Stop coming after us. I'm like, no, it's time for you to go.
And I've got garlic. I'm just fine. I got no worries with you. But that's the thing, that's the 20%, because we've established that it's 80% of the country realizes what needs to happen and what should happen, and they're in favor of it. But it's that 20% that loves being told what to do, or telling others what to do, or a combination of the two. They love having someone be the overlord. They love someone being the dictator. They love someone being the monarch. And that's what they're fighting for. They're not fighting for you. They're not fighting for me. They're fighting for that cloak. I don't know, that desire to live under a different form of government that has always existed through the world. So I suppose it's partially natural for these people just to want to be told what to do and love that authoritarian way of living.
No, there are people that crave it, that they want to be subjects, that they don't want to have to think for themselves, or they don't want to have to be involved.
Or take responsibility for their decisions.
Personal responsibility. Yeah. Personal responsibility is scary to a lot of people.
Yeah, it is. It is.
The idea that it's not going to be taken care of and it's completely on you. And I was reading this post about, the food bank, and here's the changes that are going because of the federal government. And I just thought to myself, well, it's my responsibility to feed my kids. Maybe you should make it your responsibility to feed yours.
That's right.
Now, does that sound callous? Is that wrong? No, I don't believe so.
No. See, that's the thing.
Are you accepting of your role as a provider?
Right, exactly. Most people don't. You see it with dads that aren't in families and households. And it is a man's, I think, responsibility. Biblically, it's a man's responsibility to take care of the household, to be that person, the hunter that feeds, the protector. And so many men have been taught not to do it, never taught to. It should be instinctual, I think. And you don't have to be the toughest guy in the world to get out and bust your hump to do whatever it takes to support your family. Is it easy? No, I didn't say it's easy. And nothing in life is easy. Nothing in life is ever going to be easy. And it even is more difficult, if you ask me, and I've seen this play out so many times in my own family, where they don't take that responsibility and they're waiting on that government check. And life is so much harder than it has to be, because the government's not there to make things easy on you.
Your cousin?
Many of them.
You don't have to point them out.
No, I'm not going to call them out by name.
I just know
only Curtis, because Curtis is great. He's in and out of jail. He'd give you a shirt off his back. He might steal your car tires.
I just know that Peeps, he's got those golden eggs.
No, let me tell you, Peeps is going. Look,
Peeps is going to be riding in a Escalade next month because of all those eggs she's turning out.
Dude, it's nuts how many people are reaching out, and she does no advertising, all word of mouth. It's people that are like, we're looking for free range eggs.
Yes, you're a family member who's had chickens for forever, and now her eggs are
golden goose, man. Golden goose. But the thing about Peeps is, she used to be the one that was sitting around waiting on things to happen for her, and then she moved to Georgia. She was in I'll give you a little bit of the backstory. It's my wife's sister. She was the youngest of four. She just had lost her way. And we're like, hey, why don't you move? This is when she was just fresh out of high school, maybe early 20s, had already found some difficult, driven it into the ditch a few times. And we're like, why don't you come down here, start over? And she did. And let me tell you, when she did start over, when she found that refresh button, she took life by the horns. And she's like, I'm not going to let that happen again. And don't get me wrong, we were there to kind of help her and guide her and support her and hopefully point her in the right direction. And now she has her own home. She bought it herself. She just bought herself a used car because she's smart. We were like, don't
Escalade.
ever. No, it wasn't an Escalade. It was like one of the small Honda, whatever it is. Because she's single. Whatever.
She's got a storage room that's just filled with cash. like Breaking Bad.
Or
she just goes and lays in it sometimes.
Or like Fonnie Willis.
That's right.
She's got pallets of cash laying around.
Just pallets of cash laying around because of all them eggs.
That's right. But that's the thing. Like, she really did. She's like, I'm going to do good. Like, she has found. I mean, she started work. She was working 2 jobs. Now she has landed a really, really good job and does really, really well, all because she finally said, I'm responsible for me.
I want to take personal responsibility.
It's just what you're saying. She moved from New York, and she's got chickens in her backyard. She pokes fun at herself.
Changed.
She pokes fun at herself, and she was like, I can't believe y'all drugged me to Georgia, and now I got goats and chickens. I mean, that's where she is. And it's humorous and it's funny, but it's worked.
Yeah, but it's worked.
And that's the thing that's great about her.
I think one of the aspects that we can always look at, and this goes back to 07, 08. Do you remember the 99ers? Jared, do you remember the 99ers? Does that ring a bell at all?
I remember the 1%. Is that the other side?
Okay. So what we had was that you had 59 weeks is what was legally available for people who were on unemployment. They pushed it to 99 weeks.
Yep.
And then it became a story about what happened to people after they hit the 100th week.
Yeah.
Once they got past 99, and it was the levels of depression. But here was the underlying aspect that was not reported. By like week 20, week 25, they were already beaten. By the time they got to week 50, they were already beaten. They had lost their ability to go out and compete. And because they were now subjects of the crown, they were stuck under the Obama administration as that was ramping up, and who made this available for a longer amount of time. As much as we can say, hey, the housing crisis is what caused it, and it did. That's we had the derivatives around in the marketplace, and it sank the entire housing market. But then to see the federal government step in and say, oh, we'll extend you unemployment benefits to 99 weeks. And these people could no longer function in society because they had stopped competing and they'd stopped trying.
They ended up just like the cousins I was telling you about.
Yes.
That are in a tough situation.
And these, by the way, these are like computer programmers. These are like talented people.
But when you take the ability for people to want to compete and want to do better away, and that's what government does, is take that desire away, because they're like, don't worry about it. We got it. We're gonna send you a check every month. It's gonna be great. You don't have to do anything for it. It just comes in. It's fantastic. Now everybody knows it's not a big check. It's not enough to live on, and it wasn't meant to be a check to live on. It was meant to be that short-term safety net to get you to the next opportunity that you're working hard to find and hard to get. And yet, it did the exact opposite, as you're describing, Los. Did the exact opposite. It took that desire away. It was like, oh, I got the safety net. I'm just going to lay here in the hammock all day.
Let's not pretend like the Obama administration didn't know exactly what they were doing. The Recovery and Reinvestment Act passed in Congress February 2009. So we're into basically month 2 of the Obama administration, and had many unemployed people could receive up to 99 weeks of unemployment insurance benefits, hence the name 99ers. An estimated 7 million people are affected.
That is Barack Obama's...
I told you I didn't forget about this stuff.
That's Barack Obama's way to...
lock you in.
Yes.
And depress you.
That's exactly
and
right.
And you had to sit there going, what do you want me to do? Do you need my vote? Do you need what do you need me?
And it was
lead me by my nose.
And it was the hope that he would step us closer to socialism. That's what he wanted for America. That's what leftists want for America. They want to be that European-style socialism where they keep the thumb on everybody and now can put you in jail for offending people with a meme.
And those people who were stuck, the ones who were locked in, Los, you called it vampires when we came back from the break, and that's so apt because they can't look at themselves in the mirror and do what your cousin did.
That's good.
Do what Peeps did. Come down here and hit the reset button and take some personal responsibility.
And now she's selling eggs for $8 a carton. You know? And
I might need some.
And I'm telling you, they're so good too. When you crack them, you know how you can tell they're super, super fresh? They got that real orange yolk. It's not yellow. It's not been processed. I mean, these things are so orange. It looks like a sunshine. It's bright orange. And they're delicious. But
Waffle House has got that 50-cent upcharge. Can we bring our own eggs?
It's
true. Throw them on the griddle for me.
That's right. Can you just crack these? These things are fresh. I mean, they dropped this morning. There's some of them that are in the carton. This is going to be so gross. There's some of them that are in the carton that you have to clean off before you crack them. That's how fresh they are.
That's how fresh they are?
Yes. I'm telling you, dude. It's fantastic.
Don't even put them in the fridge. You leave them right on the counter.
Exactly. Leave them on the counter. Yeah. They last for like 3 or 4 weeks that way. Because they still have the membrane, whatever that is, that speaking out of my butt, Peeps could tell me.
I take my own cheese to Good Old Days for their pizza.
Yeah.
Now I'm just going to start bringing my own eggs over to Waffle House. I got these from Peeps.
Yeah, that's right. Can you put them on top of some hash browns?
Can you wash off the membrane real quick?
That's the truth, man. And for a little while, it grossed my wife out. She was like, oh, they're going to eat that one.
I guarantee that's not the weirdest thing they've seen at any Waffle House.
Oh, no, by no means. You're exactly right.
Oh, by the way, I got another one.
What's that?
So I was talking about doing a social experiment last night that based on Ryan Clark, the analyst from ESPN.
Oh, yes.
He was talking about Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback from Colorado, which, by the way, I've watched all of Coach Prime. I like Shedeur Sanders. I think he's a great personality. He's a fun kid.
Yeah.
He's tough. I mean, he gets sacked over 50 times. Part of it's your fault. The other part is he did not have a good line in front of him 2 years ago. Last year was a little bit better. So he's going to probably be a top 10 NFL pick. And Ryan Clark was making the point about some of the questions about him and his personality. And then he just basically said, and he didn't say because he's black. He said because the way he looks like. That's why teams are questioning him.
Right.
I was like, and I made the point,
Which is code.
That's why there's been no black quarterbacks taken in the top 10 of the NFL draft. Now, I'm kidding, okay? I'm totally kidding. I'm pointing at, I'm just making a ridiculous reference.
Yeah, same as Ryan Clark. Different, ridiculous.
10 minutes ago, Penix was the 8th pick last year.
I know. You're missing the joke, dude.
He was my favorite quarterback in the draft. And some people do get it as far as look, this person who's joke over your head.
Yes.
All right, everybody else gets it that as somebody who has done, draft analysis since 1998.
Yeah.
I can probably name every black quarterback that's been taken in the top 10.
And you have, especially when we were talking about, originally we talked about it this morning. You went through the entire list.
I went Akili Smith on you.
Yeah.
Poor Dante Culpepper got drafted 11th, so I can't really, put him in there.
Yeah.
But it was a joke. But it got another one.
Absolutely.
5 minutes ago, it got another one.
And we'll continue. I want you to hear from Secretary Lutnick on Donald Trump's goals, because this is going to be good for Peeps. This is going to be good for me. This is going to be good for Los. And you listening now, too. Listen to this.
The people who have run this country before are destroying the future for my children and my children's children. We have a $36 trillion deficit. We used to run deficits of $400 billion. Now $2 trillion. Everybody's like, who cares? I tell you what, who cares? Donald Trump cares. And when we balance the budget, you know what that means? That means our deficits stop. Interest rates come smashing down. His goal is to have external revenue. How about this? The rest of the world leans on our economy, breathes off our economy. We consume $20 trillion a year. We are the buyer of everybody's stuff. Who's more important, the people who sell stuff or the people who buy stuff? Let them pay a membership fee. How about we pay less? How about no tax on tips? How about no tax on overtime? These are the kind of thoughts that will change America. I know what his goal is. No tax for anybody who makes less than $150,000 a year. That's his goal.
Count me in for that. That's where I want to be. I love the idea of tariffs just for this.
Just for this.
This is perfect for Americans, not Democrat Americans, not Republican Americans, not independent Americans, all Americans.
I think it's always been critical when you ask somebody, well, what is my fair share? And
they can never give you an answer.
They cannot tell you. But if you were to tell me a household earning $300,000 or below, which is still a significant amount of money. That's a really amazing amount of money. If that ends up being the threshold by which you have to go over in order to then start paying income tax at, let's say, 25%, okay. I can go along with that.
Most Americans can go along with that because most people don't make $150,000 a year or $300,000 a year as a family. That affects most Americans. That's why this is going to be so popular. That's why the American people support what Donald Trump is saying and doing with tariffs, with DOGE. Everything he's done is in lockstep with what Americans believe. Don't waste money. We don't have the money to waste. For me, my own family, I'm not going to go out and waste money and spend extravagantly. I'm not going to do it because I can't. And the American people want their government run the exact way that they run their family's budget.
Oh, I tell you what, if this goes into tax policy, I'm buying a mini giraffe. I'm going to buy all sorts of crazy stuff. You're going to see. I'm going to buy a llama. I'm going to put a saddle on it.
Can you fit a giraffe in an Escalade?
You can if it's a mini giraffe.
Just get it out the sunroof.
You remember the DirecTV commercial with the Russian oligarch? And he's got the mini giraffe because he's so rich?
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Daddy's going to buy all sorts of craziness. But that being said,
no, you're not.
After I get the mini giraffe and the llama with the saddle on it, after I have those two purchases secured, to look at the idea of tax policy and say, all right, $300,000 or less, you're not going to pay income taxes on. That would be creating a pretty healthy economy around everything else. Because we're not talking at this point. The difference is we're not talking about printing and spending. We're talking about you keep your own money.
The external revenue service.
And stop giving it to the federal government, who we know is going to burn through it.
And we see it daily as we get those reports from Doge. Another, $650,000 for trans this or changing the sex of mice in Uganda or whatever it is. It's all bizarre and crazy, knowing that only a smidge of that money went to that actual process. It was all laundered back to the Democrat Party.
Opulence. I hesitate.
All right, yeah.
But I also like savings the money.
What movie is that from?
I'm going to play this for you in the break. You're going to see this commercial.
It's
like a DirecTV commercial from like a decade ago. It was hilarious. He's so rich, he has a mini giraffe.
I totally remember the commercial. I just remember everything that was said in it. I do remember the ad. Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. When we come back, Jon Stewart. He just keeps missing the point on American media corruption. It was in his face. Should have been light bulb goes off, and it didn't for Jon Stewart. Talk about that next. 8 o'clock hours brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier expert. 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com.
Stream Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, Glenn Beck, Fox News, and even NASCAR on Sundays. Anywhere on the Extra 106.3 app. Download the app now and get 24/7 access to the live stream, the latest news, and everything you need to know about Atlanta's only conservative talk station. Download the Extra 106.3 app for Apple or Android and check out even more great original content at thepodcastpark.com.
For half a century, glyphosate has affordably and effectively protected Georgia farmers' crops from invasive weeds. Without it, the impact would be felt beyond the fields, hitting Americans where it hurts, our wallets. That's why the Modern Ag Alliance advocates for farmers' continued access to essential crop protection tools, so food prices don't rise even more. Get the facts at controlweedsnotfarming.com. Paid for by the Modern Ag Alliance in support of Georgia farmers.
Hey, it's Mike with Atlanta Painting Company. Spring is sprung, so let's get your home looking fresh. Right now, save 10% on any paint job Atlanta Painting Company does for you this spring. Atlanta Painting Company is still Atlanta's biggest family-owned and run painting company, and we are passionate about making your family's home look great. So get in touch. Head to atlantapaintingcompany.com to save 10% on any paint job this spring. Atlanta Painting Company, the painters you can trust.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. You know, a great smile can make you more successful as well as make you happy. Yes, it's true. And your smile's waiting for you at my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler, my friend for 30 years and dentist forever. This woman at Atlanta Smiles, atlantasmiles.com, the dentist with a doggy. It's really true, whether it's just regular cleaning or bridges or crowns or are your teeth bothering a little bit, maybe a little ache or something, or your gums it's not going to get better on its own. Take it from me, I found that out the hard way. Taking care of your teeth and gums, and everybody's happy. And by the way, you can relax with Dr. Dina. This is an individual, private VIP experience. The latest technology. She used AI to get my last thing done at my last visit. And don't forget the doggy. She's a little doggy to take a nap in your lap while you're getting your work done. And this staff, these ladies are angels, I promise you. You'll love going there. A veteran herself, Dr. Dina, 10% veterans discount off the top. Tell them when you call. 404-262-7733. Your smile's waiting. Get the doggy at atlantasmiles.com.
You may know that ATL Turf Co. has become a leader in artificial grass design and installation services, but you may not know that ATL Turf Co. is a large artificial grass distributor. We only sell U.S.-made, premium name brand turf at factory direct pricing below wholesale. And now we're open to the public with large inventories of lawn and landscape, putting green, athletic, and pet turf on sale. Plus, all remnants are on sale for only $1 per square foot, direct from Dalton to our warehouse in Kennesaw. Visit atlturfco.com to learn more. atlturfco.com.
Americold Logistics LLC, Atlanta, Georgia, and any unanticipated locations throughout the U.S. seeks a supply chain manager, warehouse solutions, job code RM0225. Responsible for design supply chain solutions to support revenue growth. Requires masters in industrial technology and operations, electrical engineering, software engineering, logistics or related, and 3 years of experience in the job, or as senior logistics engineer performing similar duties. Experience can have been obtained prior to masters. $151,216 to $176,904 per year. Email resume to Barbara Bishop at barbara.bishop@americold.com.
It's March 13th, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. It's National Good Samaritan Day, where we take a moment to recognize the unselfish actions of everyday people who perform acts of kindness towards a stranger without the desire of any type of reward. So if you see someone who needs help, try to give them a hand, whether it's helping someone change a tire on the side of the road, carrying groceries to a person's front door, or helping an old person cross a busy street. No act of kindness is too big or small. Also on this date, in 2013, Cardinal Jorge Mario Bergoglio of Argentina is elected the new pope, taking the name Francis. And in 2019, the Jackson, Mississippi home of civil rights activists Medgar and Merle Evers is established as a national monument. If it's your birthday today, you share it with actor William H. Macy, born in 1950, and former NFL quarterback Trent Dilfer, born in 1972. I'm Tushar Saxena, and that's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your headlines for Thursday, March 13th. The city of Marietta is taking a new approach to homelessness. A resolution passed by the city council on Wednesday bans unauthorized camping on private property. One of the main areas of concern is along Bells Ferry Road, where neighbors and police say 911 calls are now almost a daily occurrence. Police Chief David Beams says officers will give violators a few days' time to pack up and leave before issuing citations. Former State Representative Eric Allen won the Democratic special election runoff for District 2 of the Cobb Board of Commissioners. Allen will now face off against Republican Alicia Adams in the April 29th general election. SpaceX's mission to retrieve the stuck American astronauts was delayed Wednesday. The earliest opportunity for another launch attempt is Friday. The astronauts have now been in space for 9 months. Today's weather, cloudy with a high of 74 degrees. Tomorrow looks the same. Showers are expected this weekend with a possibility of severe storms that could produce tornadoes. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne.
8 o'clock hours brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier experts. Second generation, locally owned HVAC company here in Atlanta for 77 years, locally owned. Call them today. They can give you a new system, maintain the system that you have, or fix the one that is broken. They're your Atlanta carrier experts, 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com.
Should we tell people what we have discovered because that obligates us for tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, if you want, yeah, I mean, we can. Yeah. I mean, if you love Roxette, this is probably something that will get your attention because Roxette, if you remember that band Roxette, they had a song called Must Have Been Love. They had a song, Fading Like a Flower was huge. The singer of that band died, I want to say 2 years ago, something like that. Blonde, short hair. It was all kind of spiky.
Marie Fredriksson.
Yes, and just passed a couple years ago. Am I right about that?
Yeah, they were a Swedish pop group.
And were so good. I mean, the look, she's got the look. Huge hits in the late 80s and into maybe
early 90s.
Early 90s,
yeah.
And then it is
I think like The Look and Must Have Been Love. And all those were like 90, 91.
That's right.
Purposefully.
But what we found, there's a German pop group out there that is obsessed with Kimmer and only writes songs about Kimmer.
Could you believe this? I mean, we had the guy that was where. Forgive me for not remembering, but I mean, he is somewhere on the other side of the world, and by some weird method, he can pick up the 12:30 a.m. signal. Like when we're way late at night, he can get it, and he's like in. I don't know. Somewhere
on the opposite
crazy
side.
Eastern Europe somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere on the opposite side of the world.
He's reached out to us a dozen times asking, and that's the thing. Like, there's a reason.
There's sometimes a crossover where you get access to Kimmer at times that you don't expect.
That you wouldn't know.
And so tomorrow, I'm going to bring in a couple of the songs that they've done. Apparently, they had a hit in like the 80s, and that's it. So all they do now is they're obsessed with Kimmer.
And Los texts me, he's like, you don't believe what I saw. You don't believe what I found out. Because he knows I'm a music guy and I keep up and I think this, music is what I wake up to and go to bed to. And when he told me this, I thought he was lying. I was like, there's no way there's a freaking British
You'll hear it.
German pop band that is obsessed with Kimmer.
Sing about Kimmer. They're like Roxette, except they love Kimmer. So we'll get into that tomorrow.
Must have been Kimmer, but it's all. Yeah, so good. I look forward to it, man. He's not let me hear it yet, so I'm eager.
We're going to keep it under wraps until it's time. I think I'm going to bring in about 3 or 4 songs.
I've refused to Google it because I want it to be genuine. I want to hear it for the first time, exactly when you hear it the first time.
I didn't know the woman from Roxette died.
Yeah.
Passed away at 61 years old.
Yeah.
It's bumming, man.
Yeah, dude, it sucks. Because they were, man, fading like a flower. I think that song is so good. And it was a hit, but it wasn't one of their biggest hits. Go listen to that. The lyrics are great. They were perfect for their time. Huge production, big, produced records, and big guitars, but this soft female delivery and voice. It was powerful, but soft.
January 1989 was Look Sharp.
Yeah.
And that had all the big hits. Listen to Your Heart.
Listen to your heart.
Yeah.
Falling for you. Everybody loves that, dude. Well, I say everybody. Jure didn't. Jure was like, who?
Who's Roxette?
I had to play some songs for him yesterday.
I told you yesterday, I started with my musical. There's gaps in my musical knowledge. For a guy in radio, it's a little embarrassing. But yeah, Roxette, I had no idea.
Never heard of him.
Mine was actually working in sports talk radio because we were always next to, didn't matter what building I was in. When I worked in Dallas, we had a classic rock station and then a pop station. They were all in the same hall. And so you would hear the same songs over and over.
Right.
And you didn't really get outside that bubble. Then when I first came to Atlanta, the first building I was in, we shared with Star 94. So that was now the same 2004, 2005 songs over and over and over. That's all I knew for that time being.
Right.
Like I thought everything was Drops of Jupiter.
Yeah, right. Which is a great song, man. Train, Drops of Jupiter. That's probably, that's
it's like every half hour. Like that's what I remember about being in that building is
Drops of Jupiter in your hair. Yeah. Dude, it's because you've heard it 10,000 times.
Yes, I know.
That's a great song. Great hit. I mean, huge. Their biggest hit for sure. So I look forward to hearing this,
like Roxette.
Like Roxette that is just obsessed with the Kimmer Show like you are from 3 until 6 here on Extra 106.3. Jon Stewart, he was speaking with a Hungarian reporter. And I don't know how Jon Stewart Los misses this. I
don't believe he does.
Then why play this game?
I know. There's a part of me that maybe because he's a sharp comedian, okay, he's either oblivious to what he's saying or he knows exactly what he's saying and he's playing the dumb guy.
Or
like me joking around about how no black quarterbacks have been taken in the top 10 in the NFL draft. I'm doing that so that you recognize that there's an element of weird comedy here.
But for him, he's a leftist that defends all of this. So that's there is the moment of clarity because we've played it on our show before when he was on with Colbert and he was explaining, hey, why maybe you should ask the people down at the Wuhan lab of viral, whatever.
We were talking to Angela Morbido when she was here, and we were explaining about what had happened when Jon Stewart spelled it out for the national audience. Let's face it, Stephen Colbert owns so much of his rise to stardom from Jon Stewart and The Daily Show, because then that launched his own show that then launched him into doing evenings on CBS. And so to have Jon Stewart sitting on the couch and telling him, are you kidding me? You actually think this came out of a wet market when there is a lab right down the road that actually specializes in making these? And as the joke was, imagine an outbreak of chocolatey goodness happening in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Wonder where it came from. But Colbert was blown away.
He could not think three-dimensionally in that way.
He could not process what was happening. And this does, now that you say that, this does have a little bit of element of, at least in the delivery.
Yeah.
But there's that other part of me that knows that he cannot let go of his leftist roots. Because that's what he is. I want you to hear it. He's talking to a Hungarian reporter about a corrupt media.
So you're saying if you have a media machine that purposefully lies to its people to maintain a political fiction and get themselves power, that is the hallmark of an authoritarian system, not a democratic system?
Absolutely.
Well, if we were ever to get something like that in the United States, we would be horrified, furious to know that there was an entire media organization designed to bend reality to maintain power. It would never happen in the United States. I almost can't even imagine it. It must be very difficult to live in a country where one media organization, out of whole cloth, knowingly, explicitly, maybe even in meetings behind the scenes might say, we're lying to our audience, and then call for news people to be fired for telling the truth. I mean, if something like that happened in the United States, it would be a dark day indeed. So I appreciate you raising the alarm bells for us.
He totally, I'm telling you, the way he goes into the detail is he's mocking exactly what happened all the way through the summer until Biden was found out when it came to the debate. When he starts saying details, making sure that knowingly lying to the audience in the interest of more, he knows. He so knows.
Then why is he not admitting it? Why doesn't he talk like this in America? Why doesn't he tell the truth? Why doesn't he leave the Democrat Party? Because they're responsible for everything he said he's horrified about.
He's still working on Comedy Central, man.
Blink twice if you're in danger, John.
Yes, exactly. I mean, the guy went on CBS and told the Colbert Show, if there was an outbreak of a virus down the street from a laboratory that does this work on viruses, would you not go, that's interesting?
Seems like a possibility.
And no one could talk about that openly on the left until you had Jon Stewart saying it. They wouldn't even entertain it.
But I still listen to Jon Stewart occasionally, and he still says the same. He still uses the same Democrat talking points.
He's still a Democrat. But we always talk about it, Tug. There are those where the party has moved so far left that they're the ones saying, guys, come back over here. Like, can we please get back to Bill of Rights and working class people and fighting for the little guy?
Because I believe Jon Stewart believes in those things.
No one did more when it came to the first responders on 9/11. No one did more in Congress and in the private industry than Jon Stewart. As much as we can point at Tunnel to Towers, man, Jon Stewart was the first guy.
He was the originator.
He was the first guy going to Congress and saying, look what these people are suffering from. We need to put money aside because of the toxins that they were exposed to. He was the guy who led the charge on that.
There's always glimmers of hope with him.
He's an old school Democrat.
There's always glimmers of hope. But when will he be out there telling every Democrat what he really believes? I want to see him do that. I want to have respect for him. And there's moments like when you describe that I do. Even though I disagree with him, I'm okay with disagreeing with him. I think debate is healthy. I think discussion is good so we get to the best result. And I might not always have it. But I don't see Jon Stewart out there enough saying, they are wrong. This is wrong. Where is he on Doge? When is he going to be like, Doge is what we've been trying to do for years and years and years? Let me hear Jon Stewart talk about that, and then I'll trust him.
You really need to go more to the video podcast that he does. I think that's where you're going to get at least more of what he firmly believes at this point. Because what he believes and what he's been bringing up is you can't win this way.
Well, that's true. There's no doubt about that.
You're not going to win. You're not going to get back. Yes, but what are we
there's
lacking?
Not many people that have it.
What are we lacking right now?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, to think that what Donald Trump has brought back to America is a certain level of sanity, which is just we're not going to play in the sandbox of idiocy. I'm not going to tell you that there's 20 different sexes. I'm not going to tell you that your money should be spent in these ridiculously extravagant and silly ways. It's like we're just going to buckle down and just be Americans and try and depend on what's always worked for us, that our greatness will eventually rise forward and take us out on top. And that's what we're doing. Jon Stewart, I believe, totally gets that. But you are fighting an uphill battle. You are having to swim upstream with the rest of your party.
Then leave the party. You don't have to become a Republican.
Oh, he doesn't believe what we believe.
No, that's what I'm saying. He didn't have to become a Republican. He didn't have to become a conservative at all to be able to leave that party and say what really needs to be said. Because I believe it's in there. I've seen it. I've seen him say things that make sense. I've seen him raise money for people that deserve it and need it. I believe he has a good heart. I believe he has a good soul.
I think this was...
He's got to leave that party, though, for me to take him serious.
I think this is pretty interesting from Brett Weinstein. You know, a guy who... I hold him in high regard. I think his Dark Horse podcast is really good. He's a really sharp dude. And as he pointed out, this is the best of the available explanations, I think. Jon Stewart is being ironic, but he's also being obtuse because he thinks Fox News is the problem.
Right. So I can't say anything that goes along with what Fox News is saying because they're the problem. So I will sit on common sense and I won't speak out about common sense because I'm afraid it'll help the Republicans. That's so shallow.
But that's what happens. The other side will point at Fox News and go, they're the only ones that lie. They're the ones that parrot this craziness. I'm like, seriously, the president had dementia. He fell off a bicycle month 1, and you told me he was fine.
Jon Stewart, where were you on this? That's what I'm saying. Like, he'll give you a glimmer of hope, but then he goes back and says nothing about the things that need to be said. He's no different than Jake Tapper. Now that it's safe to say it.
Now it's safe to say it, he'll say it.
Maybe they'll say it. Jon Stewart, I want to have respect for you, but I don't. Start doing more of what you believe in. Tell the truth more often about the things that you and I cannot miss, that we've not missed, that we know happened, and then I'll maybe give you a second chance.
Mike Benz points out, Jon Stewart woke up from a 30-year coma to discover USAID exists.
That's what I'm saying, man.
We were paying for the propaganda.
That's exactly right, dude.
Our tax dollars.
Jon Stewart, wake up. I'm just going to shake him, dude. Like, it's in there. I know there's good in there. I know you have the ability to reason. Please do it.
Treat him like he's Darth Vader or something.
No, he's not Darth Vader. He's better
there's some good inside you.
Was there good inside Darth Vader? I don't remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He was sweet little Anakin at one point.
Well, yeah, but
oh man,
I mean, every child is good until they are corrupted.
That naval ship did a number on him. He went out to sea and he just stopped watching things or paying attention.
I didn't know there was a good in Darth Vader. Sorry.
Started watching woodpeckers.
Yeah, that's right. In my car. As I pull in the driveway.
I just look at nature in my car. Just sit there.
I'm not weird at all. Told you I'm weird. I know I'm weird. Morning Xtra and Extra 106.3 when we come back. America is fighting another color revolution. Lo's going to tell you all about it. It's not story time, but you better get your pencil out. Make some notes. That way you recognize it when you see it. Next on Extra 106.3.
The latest sports news, powered by 680 The Fan, and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
These are your sports headlines for Thursday, March 13th. The Atlanta Braves continue spring training action this afternoon, this time from Clearwater, as they travel to play the Philadelphia Phillies. First pitch is set for 105. You can listen to that game on our sister station's app, 680 The Fan. From the NFL, quarterback Aaron Rodgers is a free agent for the first time in his career, as he was designated by the New York Jets as a June 1st cut. Rodgers is now permitted to talk with any team in the league about their starting quarterback job. And the Atlanta Hawks have now won 4 straight as they beat the Charlotte Hornets last night, 123-110. Trae Young with 35 points, 12 assists, and 7 rebounds. The Hawks are off until Friday night when they will host the LA Clippers at State Farm Arena. With your headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
Join A Second Chance Bail Bond CEO Daniel Madelon and host Tug Cowart for the weekly radio show Back Your Blue. They will highlight special initiatives, criminal justice programs, and community events aimed at keeping our communities safer. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to learn some good news about and from the law enforcement and justice communities. This week's guest is Jacqueline Bridges, Mayor Pro Tem in Carrollton, Georgia. Tune in on Saturdays or catch up on all past episodes wherever you get your podcasts or at thepodcastpark.com.
No one plans on going to jail, but when it happens, it's important that you know who to call. Call A Second Chance Bail Bonds, where we believe everyone deserves a second chance. Whether your loved one's been arrested in Cherokee, Clayton, or any of the other metro Atlanta counties in between, A Second Chance Bail Bonds works fast to help expedite release within hours. A Second Chance. It's better to know us and not need us than need us and not know us. Call A Second Chance 24/7 at 404-BAIL-OUT or online at atlbail.com.
True Prep on Cobb Parkway is your one-stop shop for emergency preparedness supplies, including freeze-dried food, water filtration, first aid, and more. They also have a large selection of firearms, including a huge selection of AR-15s, firearm accessories, and ammo at the lowest prices around. They're locally owned and operated, and you can visit their store in Marietta on Cobb Parkway or online at trueprep.com. That's truprep.com. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow at True Prep.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on this station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to firstlibertyga.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to firstlibertyga.com. That's firstlibertyga.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
Stovall & Company is a locally owned and operated family business that has been around for 75 years, offering quality wholesale landscape supplies to North Georgia. We just opened our 11th location in Canton, Georgia at 9500 Union Hill. Stovall provides contractors with personalized expert service from special requests to direct job site delivery for hassle-free jobs and quality relationships at competitive prices. From plants to irrigation to hardscapes, Stovall truly has it all. Check us out at StovallInc.com.
Have you considered securing your family's future? Protecting your hard-earned assets, navigating complex legal matters with ease. Nelson Elder Care Law is here to guide and empower you and your loved ones. As a family-owned and family-focused business, our mission is to exceed your expectations, offering absolute assurance and peace of mind. With our trademark Absolute Protection Trust and expertise in customized estate planning, Medicaid crisis solutions, probate administration, guardianship, and conservatorship, Nelson Elder Care Law protects what matters most to you. Imagine a team dedicated to safeguarding your legacy every step of the way. Our flat fees ensure transparency, and our customized plans prioritize your family's specific needs. Are you worried about protecting your family and your legacy after you're gone? Let us help you ensure you're absolutely protected from whatever curveballs life may throw your way. Schedule a complimentary legacy planning meeting with our legal team in Marietta or Woodstock today. Contact us at 678-250-9355 or visit NelsonElderCareLaw.com.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. Okay, you're driving along. Suddenly you hear that horrible sound of metal and crunching. It's an accident. Even if it's a little minor fender bender, man, that could be a nightmare. First, obviously, take care of yourself. But before you make a deal with an insurance company or anybody else, call David Van Sant with Van Sant Law. You know why? Because he used to work for the insurance company, so he knows how to get the right settlement and right away. Van Sant Law. Don't forget, if you don't get paid, they don't get paid. Protecting your interests. Insurance is great, but it's complicated. 855-GA-INJURY or vansantlaw.com.
Attention, Atlanta. It's the biggest truckload safe sale of the year at the Safe Market and Liberty Safes of Atlanta. And it's happening for 3 days only. We're unloading American-made safes at up to 40% off. Gun safes, home security safes. With 3 convenient locations, there's never been a better time to buy. Hurry, because when the truck's empty, the deals are gone. Shop online or come to one of our 3 stores for even better savings. Thursday, March 20th through Saturday, March 22nd only. Call 770-242-0055 or visit thesafemarket.com now.
Let's be here to enjoy the Left's Meltdown together. Extra 106.3 is dialed into all the latest breaking news and headlines, so you don't have to suffer through the left-wing spin. Get it right from Atlanta's only conservative voice. Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
Oh, those color revolutions. Series of nonviolent protests accompanied by changes in the government and society. A lot of color revolution in communist countries over the years. But, Los, we're fighting one in America, too.
This is what happened in 2020. And if you paid attention to Mike Benz, and he's been a guest of several podcasts, he did Rogan a couple of times, he's done a handful of others that are out there that if you just search BENZ, Mike Benz, guy who worked under the first Trump administration and was a cybersecurity expert. And he was the one who started tracking down how what had gone on within the government is that when you had Brexit and when you had Donald Trump elected, that is when the full power of the federal government turned on its own country. Basically was like, listen, we're trying to move towards globalism. These people are not for globalism. we need to use all the weapons we can of propaganda against them.
It's funny, man.
Create a color revolution.
I remember when Brexit was going on, and I was like, yes, this is wonderful. This is the greatest news that we could possibly have. Maybe it shakes up and breaks up that globalist cabal that is the EU.
Yep.
And that's what I was pulling for. I don't even know that I knew really what was happening, but my instinct was this is good for society.
It got put down by the globalists. Like, they turned all the guns that they use all around the world propaganda-wise on their own people. And so to think about what happened, and Charlie Kirk kind of highlighted this for me. Did you see what had gone on with the giant BLM sign in D.C.?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's gone.
Yeah, remember we talked about it weeks ago when we're like
going away.
We knew it was going away, and we're exceptionally happy about that.
It's now gone. Now, that was the 2020 color revolution. That was the paying to make it look like something that was out there was bigger than what it really was. We had to go through that to then end up teetering where the Republic was really hanging in the balance.
It was.
So, I mean, ponder that. We went from a period where we had our own federal government subsidizing a Marxist organization in the interest of trying to destabilize the government so that people would not vote for Donald Trump, or would not, at the very least, no one would question an election that was going to be fraudulent because of all the protests during the summer. That's why those were there. You had American cities burning because you had to create this look that the unity behind Donald Trump was not real. That's why it was done. That's why it was paid for. So the fact that you're now painting over this, it's because the color revolution, at least for 2020, failed.
Yeah.
You're going to get another one. You already have what's starting out now. You had MSNBC had the nerve to tell us that violence at Tesla dealerships, that's just protesting.
Well, CNN too, don't leave them out.
Yeah, those are just protests. That is not a terrorist act.
They're shooting through windows.
We had legitimate terrorist acts, but it was put under the guise of a peaceful color revolution. And if you want to know, just to have a point of reference, a color revolution is paid for typically by our CIA and our USAID. And what it is you're creating a scenario by which you're hoping the government lashes out at the people so that you can be self-fulfilling prophecy of saying, see, it's a totalitarian government. I told you.
This is what we're here to fight to
We're
begin
here to
with.
fight against these people.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we're going to have to continue to fight that because MSNBC is not giving up hope. CNN is not giving up hope. They will continue. It's like the Democrat Party. They just don't see the ill of their ways. They still think that they have the moral authority. They still think that they have the superiority and intellect better than anybody else. They know better than you. Like, your common sense is just that. It's common. Everybody has it. We're the Ivy Leagues. We're the most educated. We understand it more than you do. And that's why I feel like, listen, you can tell me if I'm wrong or if you think I'm wrong about this. That's why they always lead with, well, uneducated people.
Right.
Those are the Trump voters.
Oh, the lack of degrees that they have.
Even though those Ivy League degrees do nothing more than brainwash you. We've talked about how we're not even sure we would want our kids to go to Ivy League schools. That used to be the ticket to the top.
I don't know if this says what it needs to say. But I think you do have a Trump administration where it's not only highly intelligent people, but it's sensibility and experience. Because when you have Tulsi Gabbard talking about some of the stuff that's going on within this country as far as being targeted, when she talked about how I spoke out, next thing I know, I'm on a watch fly list. It's like, how did that happen? As a former congresswoman, how did this occur?
And a person that served in our military.
Right. And yet she was being treated as some sort of potential extremist. So you have people that have the point of reference of this is what happens. You know, when you had Robert F. Kennedy Jr. polling at 18 to 20% of the Democrat Party, and yet the current administration, the Biden administration, wouldn't give him a Social Security detail. Why?
Yeah, they're not going to, because
you need to have them eliminated.
It's exactly right. And there's a reason, the same reason, that Donald Trump's Secret Service
They gave
detail,
you the backups. They gave you the JV.
Because if you remember, Jill Biden was doing the same weekend.
A book signing.
That's right. In Butler, Pennsylvania. He was there. She was in D.C. near the White House doing a book signing, and they assigned all the senior Secret Service agents to her. And if I'm not mistaken, Michelle Obama was doing something too. And they even blame that later on after the shooting. They're like, well, here's the reason we had the first lady and the former first lady. We had to really look out for them, and we sent the JV team down.
That's why you're in the midst. We already saw in 2020. You're going to get it again. Now,
yeah, they're not giving up.
A color revolution is coming. Like, we are going to see this. It's just a matter of, will it have the same fervor now that our tax dollars will not be dealing with it? Because Doge is kicking a leg out from these people.
I'm guessing no. And then on top of it, I don't know that people would be able to recognize it as a color revolution, as what the definition, the textbook definition is. But they'll feel it in their gut. They'll see it. They'll hear it.
That's propaganda.
They'll sniff it out. You don't have to be. That's the thing. People talk about dumb, uneducated voters. You don't have to be well educated to have good instincts. I bring it up all the time. My mama is not a well-educated woman. She dropped out in 8th grade to go to work for the family. She went back, got her GED, her good enough diploma, as Chris Rock would call it. And yet, she's one of the wisest people in the world. I would take her gut instinct over an Ivy League educated person every day of the week. Never, ever would I default on that, because she's proven to me over and over and over again that she has great instincts.
My oldest daughter and I, one of our favorite things to do is whenever somebody does something a little bit silly, we always go, well, at least they're book smart.
Right. I've heard that before.
That is our way of just kind of mocking, like, well, at least they're book smart.
At least they got something going. A rapper has figured out what you and I already know. Welcome to the team, Lil Yachty. Next on the Morning Extra.
Time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
Oh, I see these federal workers demonstrating all over the place. I need my job. How dare you? The arrogance of these jerks is really getting on my nerves, as you can probably tell. But once again, the general media in this country, with some exceptions, on their side. How dare these Republicans come along and try to cut back on government spending and eliminate government jobs? Don't they understand that the greatest of all goals that anybody could ever seek is to get a job with government? Take a look at Atlanta. The government schools in Atlanta exist for one reason, and that is to train people to work for the city of Atlanta, maybe Fulton County, where it can take you 4 hours to get a sticker for your license plate. Now listen to this one. The USDA, boy, you talk about overspending. They run the food stamp program. They've given a college $600,000 to study menstrual cycles in transgender men and non-binary persons. The USDA says, a woman will have a monthly menstrual cycle for 40 years of her life, and we think it's important to recognize that transgender men and people with masculine gender identities, intersex, and non-binary persons may also menstruate. Think of all the families out there that had their tax money spent on studying menstrual cycles for transgender men. Money they could have spent on educating their children. Money they could have spent on health care, paying off their mortgage, buying groceries, fixing up a car that is needed to go to work. But no, the government, to which the Democrats say we all belong, wants that $600,000 to study menstrual cycles in transgender men. Oh, and non-binary people. I'm disgusted. I need to calm down. Decaf, it's Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3 FM.
The EQE electrifies the essence of Mercedes-Benz values: leadership in user-friendly technology and earth-friendlier power, satisfaction for drivers and passengers alike, and the seamless confluence of craftsmanship and innovation that makes the iconic Grille Star shine. Get an exceptional offer on the all-electric 2024 Mercedes-Benz EQE 350 sedan for just $509 per month for 36 months with $66.53 due at signing, exclusively from RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details on this vehicle and many other models during the RBM of Atlanta's spring sales event. Visit today to see how to qualify. Special lease rate available only to qualified customers exclusively from Mercedes-Benz Financial Service through RBM of Atlanta, Sandy Springs through March 31st, 2025. Excludes tax, tag, title, and Georgia Lemon Law fees. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details on this and other exciting offers. Visit us at rbmofatlanta.com or call us at 770-390-0700 for details.
This is Atlanta's new home for Fox News, Extra 106.3 FM.
Atlanta, it's Mark from the Safe House. Now that President Trump has unburdened us from what could have been, our country's finally headed in the right directions. But the Democrats are screaming and yelling and losing their minds. And unfortunately, the bad guys are still here and they want your stuff. Thank you, Joe Biden. And customers are still reporting break-ins and thefts of their hard-earned valuables. Don't wait till it's too late. Get a quality safe from the Safe House. We carry the largest selection of safes in the Southeast. And remember, gun safes are sales tax free at Atlanta Safe House. So give us a call or go to atlantasafehouse.com.
WFOM and W292 EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. The 9 a.m. hour is presented by Southern Exteriors. Quality and precision you can rely on.
Things could get tense north of the border. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, where Secretary of State Marco Rubio is about to sit down with his Canadian counterpart as the U.S. and 6 key allies gather after President Trump imposed tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports.
Secretary Rubio has crossed the front lines in the trade war. He is in Canada, and if the Canadians want to complain to somebody in person about the tariffs, it's going to have to be him. He is there for this meeting of the G7 foreign secretaries in Quebec. Those meetings of foreign secretaries can be so boring, but not today.
Fox's Peter Ducey at the White House, where the president escalated things in a Truth Social post this morning, reacting to Canada and the European Union's retaliatory tariffs. He wrote, if Europe's nasty 50% tariff on American whiskey is not canceled immediately, he'll put a 200% tariff on all wine, champagne, and other alcohol coming here from France or any other EU country. Today, NATO's leader goes to the White House. As President Trump keeps pushing for an end to the war in Ukraine, that country's agreed to a U.S. ceasefire plan.
President Donald Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff has landed in Moscow to bring details of the proposal to the Kremlin. President Vladimir Putin's spokesman hinting at direct talks with President Trump, saying there could be an international phone call later today.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. A Russian official said today that ceasefire plan would benefit Ukraine's military. Time's running out for Congress to avert a government shutdown by tomorrow night's deadline for funding. Republican Senator Ashley Moody tells Fox,
if this is a shutdown, it'll be the Schumer shutdown. This is completely on the hands of the Democrats.
That's after Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said they'll go block the House-passed spending bill funding the government through September because Republicans did not get any Democrat input. Schumer's pushing for a 30-day funding plan
that will keep the government open and give Congress time to negotiate bipartisan legislation that can pass.
We got an update on wholesale inflation this morning. Producer prices came down on an annual rate last month. America's listening to Fox.
When you hear the term living better, what do you think about? More money? A bigger house? Maybe a yacht? What about how you feel physically? How you wake up each day? How you sleep? What activities you can and cannot do? When you feel good, life is good. So if pain is affecting your life, see how Relief Factor can help. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Developed by doctors, it doesn't just mask pain temporarily. It helps reduce or even eliminate pain. In fact, the longer you take it, the more effective it is. So give their 3-week quick start a try. It's only $19.95, less than $1 a day. And it just takes a phone call, 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. Wherever you're hurting, in 3 weeks or even days, Relief Factor can give you a chance to rediscover the true meaning of living better again. Visit ReliefFactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
You may know Bortz is back, but not everyone else does. Tell anyone who loves America, Bortz is back on the radio in Atlanta, and his new home is Extra 106.3. Listen to him now on the Extra 106.3 app.
Tuck and Los until 10, 404-741-1230 at Extra 106.3 across the social media platforms. Glad that you're here and look forward to communicating with you however that you access Extra 106.3 streaming on the YouTube channel or at extra1063.com. Traditional broadcast 106.3 FM, 1230 AM, or on the Extra 106.3 app, which is the way I recommend it. One day I'm hoping one day, like on the app of our sister station, The Fan, that you can also link to the video feed there too, Los. Got my fingers crossed that one day that's coming down.
Maybe. Possibly. In the meantime, we have YouTube.
Yes, sir.
Which is fine. People watch on YouTube.
Absolutely. However you want to watch, however you want to consume.
We do have a little bit of a situation for the weekend. So I have both daughters that are playing volleyball, and they're in two different locations. So my wife is going to go with my youngest daughter. I'm going to go with my oldest because I got to record some extra stuff. But now we have to decide, because we have just my YouTube channel, and that's how we broadcast everything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now, do we add another channel?
Oh, I see. Because you can only broadcast one.
Right.
At this point, yeah.
And the only way to broadcast live is you have to get subscribers.
50, was it 50?
So do I add more subscribers for like $6?
Yeah, right.
And my daughter's concerned about it because she's like, well, I don't want to have a bunch of fake subscribers on my YouTube channel. And I was like, well, you only have one subscriber right now, and it's me.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to make that big of a difference. For $6, yeah, it'd be fine. If it's $6.
I kind of think so, too.
Yeah, that's the way
We're going to figure this out.
For sure. Families that have kids in athletics or band or cheerleading, whatever, you run into these things. You know, when you have to divide and conquer with the kids, you want to be able to stream games so grandparents and neighbors and friends and, whomever, family members can watch, the games. I know for my mother-in-law and my mama, like, we'll send them the link, especially when Jacob's team is playing home. They stream the games. You can actually see it. And it takes them a little while to be able to figure out how to do it, but we walk them through it step by step and get them up to speed. But when they do, man, it is terrific.
Honestly,
just being able to watch it it's like next level.
We used to do it on we used to use a Facebook account, a Facebook group.
Was it like Facebook Live? They would do that?
And so we would do that. But it got to the point where it was so hard to explain to families how to do it that if you can do it on YouTube, it's so much easier.
Click here.
And they'll then save it on their TVs so you can easily pull it up and watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube
so much
does
easier.
a good job. They do, absolutely. We talked about the color revolution in the last segment and how, that's what BLM ultimately was. But not everybody fell for it. Or if they did fall for it in the beginning, Los, their eyes have been opened. They're not woke. They're awake.
So Little Yachty.
I
was going Yaki.
Why?
I don't know. It just seems when I spelled it that way.
My son loves him. Is the only reason I know.
So what was he on? Because it was like a reality show. It was something that he was part of.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. I really thought this was going to take off in a bigger way because this is now like 48 hours old.
Right.
And it was one of those it hit the internet and then it wasn't scrubbed, but people didn't celebrate it the way I was.
Right.
Like, I was high-fiving everybody. I'm like, hey, somebody else who knows what BLM just like me.
Because it's eye-opening when you see people that get it, that finally get it. Like, we're talking about Jon Stewart. Is that the shtick, or is he... I don't know where that falls.
This wasn't shtick.
No,
that's the cool part.
No,
yeah.
That's the great part, though. But with Jon Stewart, you're trying to figure out, hey, does he have this down? Is he finally getting his eyes finally open? Little Yachty, definitely eyes open, and he made no bones about it.
So Little Yachty and Little Yaki were on a show.
That's right.
And there's a woman she's doing the test. All right? The test is always going to, with some of these shows, is to find out, what was the term that they used with, it was Al Sharpton, who used the term with Barack Obama when he was like, I don't think he's authentically black.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Like, that was always, so you will get these people that'll test you. It's like, no, why do I have to jump through certain hoops? Like, why did you have Joe Biden telling people, well, if you don't vote for me, you're not black? You don't get to determine that, old man.
So, yes. This was a YouTube series or a YouTube show that he was on. Speaking of YouTube, we're talking about a guy named Quinlan Blackwell, Feeding Starving Celebrities is the name of the show.
So I want you to take a listen as the host is talking to him and asks him a question, and Little Yachty decides, I'm going to let you know about apparently what you don't know.
You spent $100,000 on a trip to Disney once. How much have you spent on charitable causes this year?
It's just blurry. I be doing so much.
BLM? Because you want to be so black power?
BLM is a scam.
Clip that!
It was literally a scam. They had bought mansions, and you probably wouldn't know anything about it because you don't care about black people.
I think I'm literally the most pro-black person in this room.
Because you have an all-white staff?
They're not white. They're POC.
I'm gay.
Thank you. But don't laugh.
I do have a gay.
Gay?
I had to leave the rest of that in there just because.
I do have a gay.
Now they're competing against each other. He's
Who
like,
can check the most boxes? But he's doing it in such a mocking way. Like he knows exactly what is being done, and he's not with it anymore. He's not having it anymore. He's like, absolutely not.
And by the way, they're POC.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
People of color.
That's right. We got to make sure that we can check our boxes. But I'm surprised he's not been skewered too. Less about, him saying it. I think I'm surprised that they haven't come after him, meaning the leftist media, maybe even other rappers. I don't know, other Hollywood types that are like, wow, we are not going to have anything like this. We refuse. You will not say the things. And in Trump's America, you can. You can call it like you see it. You can call balls and strikes, Lowe's. That's the beauty of what we now have. It's back. Freedom of speech is back. America's back.
It's awesome. Like, do you see what I'm working on right now?
I do, yeah.
In the background?
Yes.
I've decided to alter Michael Penix Jr.'s name.
Dwightest.
Now he's Dwightest Penix Jr. Because you know what? Comedy's back in America, people.
It is.
You can have fun
funny
with this stuff.
You can be funny.
And by the way, and that was a funny moment for YouTube. Him throwing that out there with her.
Yes.
Like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be a Ron Mexico situation.
Yes, right. They're going to be New Jersey's Dwightest Penix Jr. Funny. But, with comedy, we had it. We don't got to play it because we'd have to dig it up. It was from maybe Monday. And it was a comedian that was just whatever was not supposed to be said in the last 4 or 5 years, he was saying it all. And he did it just to make people squirm, just to see people go, oh my gosh, I can't believe what he's saying. I can't believe what he's doing. And it's right back to exactly what Lil Yachty is doing. He's like, I don't care what you think anymore. I don't care what you say anymore. I don't care what you tell me I'm supposed to think and say anymore.
Right.
That's the thing.
I'm not playing this game with you any longer.
That's so liberating. I think it is. And I love the fact that comedy is able to be funny again. And you're able to put, Jeray found it. Buddy, you want to talk about people squirming in their seats? We'll share it on the Extra 106.3 Twitter page, X page, at Extra 106.3. We'll share it there. So you can see it, but I mean, people are squirming. Listen.
I'm happy Trump's 2-0 against women. Which does send a message to young women, like, you can still do anything in this world, not be president, but you could be a female Black Hawk helicopter pilot. You could always... I hear they're looking for some of those. What, is something happening? She probably doesn't know. She was probably doing air traffic control at the time. Oh. You is coming in hot. Pull up. Oh, it was a Black Hawk. It should have been a White Hawk. No, at first they came out and they said it was a transgender helicopter pilot. And I was like, Trump was right. And then they came out and they're like, no, it was just a biological female. I was like, Trump was right.
You should see the beauty. As funny as it is to hear it, the beauty is if you can see the crowd and they pan across the crowd.
Around uncomfortably.
And like people's eyes are the size of the moon. They are saucer sized. They cannot believe what is being said in front of them because they've been told forever you can't say things that are either A, true or B, funny. And it's even worse if it's true and funny.
Little Yachty told that woman, I have a gay too.
I'm checking all the boxes as well.
Like I have to check off a box of the friends I have.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I also have gay friends and black friends. It was that.
But not even, I have gay friends. I have a gay too.
Yeah, right, exactly.
As in like you possess them like they're some sort of doll.
Yeah, that's right.
That's why she got so upset. She's like,
yeah.
You're just sitting there like, yeah, I already gave you the BLM thing. How much further do you want to push this?
Seriously, I will tell you all you need to know. So funny. John Kennedy's another guy that just says what we and you and everybody that believes in America is thinking. I want you to hear from the man from Louisiana. Listen to this.
The ACLU is defending Mr. Khalil. They say this is a freedom of speech case. I support freedom of speech. How else would we know who the idiots are without freedom of speech? This case is not about freedom of speech. It's about civilized behavior. It's about national security. It's about terrorism. Mr. Khalil is not an American citizen. He's here with a green card. He's shown that he supports Hamas. That's a violation of the Immigration and Naturalization Act, which says you can be deported if you support a terrorist organization. Mr. Khalil hates America. If you're not happy where you are, move. You're not a tree. Secretary Rubio is going to help him move.
And just like Rosie O'Donnell, she took John Kennedy's advice. She went to Ireland. I bet she comes back. She's still going to rap off her mouth. She's still going to talk, and nobody's going to listen. I think less and less, fewer and fewer people are going to listen. But John Kennedy says exactly what the American people are thinking about Muhammad Khalil.
See, I can support Hamas, and nothing can happen to me outside of maybe my employer goes, why are you supporting a terrorist organization that's big into murdering people? And my employer could decide to execute on that. But the federal government can't. Now, when you're a green card holder, the rules are different. The laws are different. The game is different. You can't come into this country and then proceed to celebrate America's enemies. And I don't know why the left doesn't quite get that. They're trying to equate somehow that his free speech rights have been violated. You're a green card holder. You're a guest. Might as well say guest card holder. One of the things you can't do is support terrorist organizations or promote violence against different particular people in society.
And there's not an American one.
I can.
Yeah, right. Because you're
I can all day long.
You're a natural. You're a born in America.
I'm not a guest here.
You're not a guest. He is. The difference is, too, well, Lois would never do it, but this man, he hates America. There is nothing about America he likes. He thinks it's unredeemable.
He's talked about the destruction of Western civilization.
He wants to destroy this country, and he wants to do it from the inside out because he knows they can't do it with some sort of military. And so does all of these other governments. That's why they use the tactics they do. The Chinese infiltrating our electric sources, our electric grids. They infiltrate our water systems in cities and counties. They know they can't defeat us with bullets, so they'll have to do it from the inside out. They'll have to rot it from the inside out. And that's what he is. He is rot to the American way of life.
Yeah, that has always been the game. We cannot be conquered unless we're conquered from within.
That's exactly right. And that's what he wants to do.
That's what he's interested in doing.
And that's why I want him out.
He wants to raise a mentality, and what we're saying is that in Trump's America, you don't get to rot us from the inside out. You got to go bye-bye.
And I have no issue with it whatsoever. And that's the thing, that the whole freedom of speech argument, though it's wrong, that's all they have. That's what they cling to. They have to have some reason to defend him, not because they love America, because they wouldn't defend him if they did.
No, they believe in what
they believe everything
what his
that
cause
he is saying. That's exactly right, dude. These people are on the left, the Democrats, the ACLU. You think they love America? They've proven to you over and over and over that they don't. They do not love this country. They think it's irredeemable, just like Muhammad Khalil thinks it's irredeemable. His wife, who's pregnant with his baby, thinks it's irredeemable. They want this revolution. They want to destroy the United States that you know and love, the one that you fought back for, the one that you put Trump back in office to save. This is them saying, this is our last-ditch effort. We have to do something. Let's attack everything that is America. And let's start with the college campuses where we can rile up kids that have no idea what they're being led into.
This is such an attack on PC culture. Like, you're not allowed to do this. Why not? There's nothing that says on any of these books, there's not one law that says if you're a green card holder in this country, your green card can be removed at any point. And if your green card is removed at any point, you're now here illegally. You have been detained for doing so.
And when he's gone, I'm not going to be upset, and I'm not going to miss him. It's as simple as that.
Simple.
Yeah. And anybody else that falls into the category, I want the same things to happen. And Donald Trump said this is the first of many, and I think that's the best part. That's the most encouraging part.
This was always the fundamental difference between how we viewed this and how they viewed this. They spent 4 years on their side, most notably with the Biden administration, telling you that there was no difference between citizens and non-citizens. You were all recognized the same. In fact, God help you if you were in, let's say, Western North Carolina and you'd suffered a horrific flood and you were a citizen of this country. You were not getting the help that non-citizens living in 4-star, 5-star hotels in New York were getting. All right, like that was the standard. What we're pointing back out in Trump's America is that being a citizen of this country does deliver you a higher level in what you should be expecting out of life. It is a gift to be here. You are lucky. So treat it as such. And so if you think that this is the previous administration where you can spend the time talking down about the entirety of the country and pumping up murderous terrorist organizations, I'm sorry. You don't understand what the culture currently is right now around here.
They left the doors wide open, knowing that people like that was coming. They were coming into the country. And then you had Nancy Pelosi. Do you remember this when she was on Bill Maher's show and she said she wants amnesty for all illegal immigrants? She called them undocumented. She wants amnesty for all of them. That way, there was no getting rid of someone like Mohammed Khalil that hates America, that supports Hamas, that blocked Jewish students from going to class. That's what she wants. That's what her party represents. Says the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. When we continue, communists do, they want to take your money. And in a moment of honesty, they admit it out loud. I want you to hear it next on Extra 106.3.
The legend Neil Bortz is only on Extra 106.3. Hey, it's the Kimmer. How's it going? Here's what you missed from the Talkmaster.
I admire most of what Donald Trump is doing. I wish he'd slow down Elon Musk, not in what he's doing, but how he acts. I love what Elon Musk is doing. But, hey, guy, don't dance around with chainsaws. I'm not even allowed to own a chainsaw.
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 or listen anytime on the Extra 106.3 app.
Hey, it's your friend Lowe's.
Services offered through Master.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, we'll try this again in 3, 2, 1. Hey, it's Lowe's. How's it going?
Hey, Lowe's.
See, I faked the enthusiasm once again. I'm not faking it. I'm actually pretty enthusiastic. It's 9 o'clock hour on a Thursday. Things are good. Let's talk about, though, Howard Brothers and Kawasaki. First off, when I go into Howard Brothers, let's face it, I'm like a kid in a candy store. Like, I just start playing with all the toys and start plotting and planning all the stuff I'm going to do. So I need you to do the same. When it comes to the grass getting going, all right, we're getting into that warmer time. Golf season has started. You're now also going to have to start taking care of your lawn and your equipment. The spring is right around the corner. Keep your equipment running well with genuine Kawasaki parts. Air filters, oil, blades, belts, they have everything. Kawasaki parts are built for performance and are trusted to keep your equipment in peak condition all spring long. So don't let the downtime end up being a bad time for you. Get your equipment up and running. Get it ready to go with Kawasaki parts over at Howard Brothers. The grass is always greener when you take care of it with Kawasaki and with Howard Brothers.
Advisory services offered through Master Plan Retirement Consultants, Inc., a registered investment advisory in the state of Georgia. Insurance, tax, and commodity services offered through Fricks & Associates, Inc., DBA Master Plan Retirement Consultants. The aforementioned are affiliated companies.
Retirement means different things to different people. Some folks want to travel the world. Some folks want to spend more time with grandkids. For me, I'm looking forward to spending more time with my guitar. Whether extravagant and robust or simple and cozy, every retirement needs a plan. You wouldn't take a trip without directions. You have to know where you are before you know where you're going. Master Plan Retirement Consultants have helped many like you plan for their own retirement. Not only does Master Plan help you create the roadmap, they join you on the journey. So whether you want to travel the world, become a pickleball champ, or just looking for a good porch, a sturdy rocking chair, and an acoustic guitar, remember to plan well because the destination is worth it. Visit masterplanretire.com to schedule your complimentary consultation today.
For half a century, glyphosate has affordably and effectively protected Georgia farmers' crops from invasive weeds. Without it, the impact would be felt beyond the fields, hitting Americans where it hurts, our wallets. That's why the Modern Ag Alliance advocates for farmers' continued access to essential crop protection tools so food prices don't rise even more. Get the facts at controlweedsnotfarming.com. Paid for by the Modern Ag Alliance in support of Georgia farmers.
Hi, my name is Steve from Marietta, and we hired ATL Turf Co. to build our dream backyard golf setup. They installed a large 4-hole putting green, a sand bunker, a short game area, and did a full conversion to artificial grass around the pool with decorative retaining walls. ATL Turf Co. was really creative. They were efficient. The installation was a breeze. Price was completely reasonable, and I definitely appreciated their communication throughout the project. I would definitely recommend ATL Turf Co. to anybody thinking about doing a backyard makeover. You can check them out online right now at atlturfco.com.
Atlanta Braves fans, May is Military Appreciation Month, and a great time to show your patriotism by purchasing a VIP table at the Warrior Alliance 4th Annual Veteran Impact Awards and Gala. The event will be held on Thursday, May 22nd at the Coca-Cola Roxy Theater at the Battery, Atlanta, and features dining, live entertainment, and Georgia-based veterans being honored for the significant contributions they are making in our communities. Purchase your VIP table today or make a donation at thewarrioralliance.org.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. Okay, you're driving along. Suddenly you hear that horrible sound of metal and crunching. It's an accident. Even if it's a little minor fender bender, man, that could be a nightmare. First, obviously, take care of yourself. But before you make a deal with an insurance company or anybody else, call David Van Sant with Van Sant Law. You know why? Because he used to work for the insurance company, so he knows how to get the right settlement and right away. Van Sant Law. Don't forget, if you don't get paid, they don't get paid. Protecting your interests. Insurance is great, but it's complicated. 855-GA-INJURY or vansantlaw.com.
NAP Inc. seeks manager electrical installation resources in Kennesaw, Georgia. Responsible for collaborating with the scheduling team to understand automated logistic systems, project schedules, and identify resource requirements. Ensuring availability of employees with the necessary experience and skill set for each project and to identify trends and areas for improvement. Must have 5+ years experience in on-site management of electrical installation projects in warehouse automation or order fulfillment. Travel 20% to U.S. client sites required as assigned by employer. Less than 5% international travel. Submit resume at tinyurl.com/KNAPPMEIR.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
Here are your headlines for Thursday, March 13th. The city of Marietta is taking a new approach to homelessness. A resolution passed by the city council on Wednesday bans unauthorized camping on private property. One of the main areas of concern is along Bells Ferry Road, where neighbors and police say 911 calls are now almost a daily occurrence. Police Chief David Beams says officers will give violators a few days' time to pack up and leave before issuing citations. Former state representative Eric Allen won the Democratic special election runoff for District 2 of the Cobb Board of Commissioners. Allen will now face off against Republican Alicia Adams in the April 29th general election. SpaceX's mission to retrieve the stuck American astronauts was delayed Wednesday. The earliest opportunity for another launch attempt is Friday. The astronauts have now been in space for 9 months. Today's weather, cloudy with a high of 74 degrees. Tomorrow looks the same. Showers are expected this weekend with a possibility of severe storms that could produce tornadoes. With your headlines, I'm Jerry Payne.
I've seen it pop up on social media a little bit where people are like, wow, Elon, he's failing to go get the astronauts. He can't get the astronauts like he said he could. I don't expect that's the case at all. I think he just wants to do it safely. Because that's the obvious thing. If you have some sort of issue, you delay.
You know, we scrub launches regularly.
Without a doubt.
Weird stuff that's going on.
But he's not scrubbing launches for the reason that Joe Biden scrubbed the launches. Remember, Elon said he'd go get them months before the election, and Biden was like, absolutely not.
They were told to stand down.
Yeah, and you had the astronauts on the International Space Station saying everything that Elon said is true. Biden left us up here.
He did not want to have Elon and Donald Trump having a victory leading into the elections.
And now the left, those on the left, have the audacity to see, he can't go get him. He can't go get him.
Why is it, and it's a nature of the news cycle. I get it. It's just a little bit weird that it takes about 24, 48 hours before everything reverses course, and then they don't have the argument anymore. So they'll get like 10 hours like, see, I told you he can't get to the space station. And then they're going to end up dropping the astronauts off like Sunday or Monday on Earth, and they'll go,
nothing. They'll say nothing. They'll say, yeah, right. Make that sound. Yeah. Super, super mad.
I mean, what was I hearing about? When a week ago it was eggs?
Well, and then 2 days ago it was stock market.
Yeah, or inflation.
Inflation.
It's like all these things are trending in the correct direction. Will they continue? We'll see. But the trending in the correct direction has now caused them to, what are they going to brag about right now? I'm going to shut down the government.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Own that one.
Yes.
Because the only people that ever cry about shutting down the government is the liberal left. They're the ones that are like, the Republicans are stopping us, and we're not going to be able to get your Social Security checks, and we might not be able to open up all the national parks. Oh, my God. And I sit back and I say, close it down. We've always said, close it down. Shut it down for a week. Let's not spend anything. Fine. Now that it's on them, now I want to hear we're going to close down the government for America.
Because this is what we're doing to save America.
We're going to show them.
6 months ago, when it was a discussion, it was the worst thing that could possibly happen. They don't believe their own BS. It shouldn't be surprising at this point because we hear them saying it all the time. So the other thing that they say a lot is they need to pay their fair share. Those rich people they can never detail exactly what your fair share is, and that's why the left continues to collapse. How much of my money exactly do they want to take? And a communist tells Dave Rubin the truth in a moment of honesty. Listen to this.
I want you to keep more of your money. Do you want me to keep more of my money?
No, because you're a millionaire.
No, because you're a millionaire. I don't want you to keep your money. I want to have it all. I'm mad that you have this additional money.
What was it Elizabeth Warren told all of us? You didn't make that on your own.
That's right, yeah.
Like, oh, really?
Barack Obama, too.
Yeah.
Remember, it was, what was the plumber? Joe the plumber?
About spreading the wealth around.
You didn't build that. You had help. You didn't build that on your own or whatever he said.
Yeah, you didn't do the company on your own. That's how it was explained to all of us.
Absurd and ridiculous.
That you owe it to the state.
I don't owe anything. I don't owe you anything. That's the way I truly feel.
Well, you don't understand. You were government educated.
Yeah. Let me tell you, I was government educated, let down, just like everybody else. When we have 8th graders, 1 in 3 that can't read on grade level, that's how failing that the federal government is at running anything, including your children's educations, and they shouldn't be.
So Kimmer and I both love Arrested Development. Greatest show. Early 2000s, the best comedy that's ever aired on network television. Don't tell me about Seinfeld with the laugh track and everything else. The jokes were so cutting edge and so far ahead of their time, you either got it or you didn't. And one of the things that they had was Tobias Funke. Now, Tobias, he was the first analopist therapist. An analropist.
Was he played? Who played that role? Was it a comedian?
Your guy David.
David Cross.
David Cross. We had him on the Braves Country podcast a couple times.
Yeah, David Cross was the actor.
Super
who played
funny guy.
Tobias Funke.
Way lefty. Super funny dude.
Now, one of the things that goes on in the show is he keeps saying things that clearly make him sound like he's homosexual, but he claims he's not. And so his brother-in-law says, I want you to take a tape recorder around and just record yourself what you're saying and then play it back to yourself later. Right. And that's the moment where he's like, well, that's a little questionable, you know. But it's that moment where you tell the communist, I want you to just record yourself and then listen back on it with like a different ear, or let somebody listen back on it and go, what do you sound like? You sound like a totalitarian dictator is what you come across as.
And Jerry Seinfeld, goodness. Jon Stewart got a glimpse of that, right? When he was talking, we played it earlier, the Hungarian that he was talking to, and he's like, wait a minute. You're telling me that the government's in control of the media, they're able to lie to the people and then back up the lies with media reports. I can't imagine that happening in the U.S. We're still trying to figure out. Los is convinced that he knows what he's talking about and that he did this knowingly to point out the absurdity that's happening in America. I'm not so sure. I don't know. I want to believe that that's the case. I just don't know. But the one thing I do know is socialism and communism all work the same way. How do we make sure that you can't take care of yourself? That way you rely on the government to take care of you. What was it Margaret Thatcher said? The problem with socialism is that eventually you run out of other people's money.
You run out of other people's money.
And that's a spot on. It couldn't be more true. That's exactly right. Now, the federal government, our federal government, at least here, the government's been so big and they tax you at every turn. They have nonstop just reams of money, grips of money coming in, and they use it for whatever they want to, despite what you believe, despite what you want to spend it on, which is usually something inside your home. They will take it and use it for something that stands in direct opposition of everything you believe.
It gets said once every 4 or 5 years, and it becomes some novel concept when somebody will step out there and say, we don't have a revenue problem. We have a spending problem.
Yeah, that's right.
we are going to bring in $7 trillion, $5.5 trillion at the very least, depending on what goes on. You are going to be able to, you should be able to balance a budget. You should not have to be throwing on $1 trillion worth of debt every 3 months onto this entire country. This is supposed to be fixed in this way. But again, just as you're pointing out, communists, though, don't see this as a problem because they'll always be able to go get more money or print more money or just announce whatever the value is going to be.
Which is why they're screaming bloody murder about Doge and that gravy train coming to a close.
That was the craziness of price fixing because before it was the Soviet Union, the Russians attempted to do price fixing in their own country back in the 30s, and it failed miserably, and it created these awful black markets and these horrible situations where people were starving to death. And yet Kamala Harris's answer to things were, well, I'm going to put a cap on what supermarkets can make on items.
And it wasn't the Washington Post that said, hey, if you're being called communist and you're trying to prove that you're not a communist, you probably shouldn't go with communist ideas out loud.
Maybe don't talk about price fixing in the private marketplace.
Oh.
If they're calling you a communist, and that was that was what was being thrown out, the communist. It took so long. I feel like it was myself and Jesse Kelly for 4 or 5 years, especially after the BLM thing. I'm like, they're communists. They're communists. And you were told by people, there's no communists here. I'm like, your ideology is communism.
Yeah. You may not call yourself that.
You may not think of yourself this way.
That's what you are.
That's what it is.
It's so clear. And it never made sense to me that, they talk about people wanting to keep their money. They're just greedy. They got too much. How is it that you work really hard for something, and if you want to keep it, you're the greedy one? How does that doesn't even make sense. That makes no sense whatsoever. That you work hard, you want to keep it. Help me understand, because that does not make sense.
Oftentimes, there is a risk involved. Very rarely,
especially with business owners,
is money made by not risking something.
Yeah, the stock market,
your capital, whatever you're going to put. Yeah. Which is why, can we please suspend capital gains for a year? I'm just asking, just as a request.
As I'm trying to sell 2 houses.
Just to point that out. Now, I'm not talking a primary home, whatever, but, business investment. If we could suspend capital gains for a year, that'd be great. But there was a risk in doing so. The fact that we're cashing out is in part because, okay, we took the risk. We did what we did. We held it for this long. We're gonna have some college kids and some drivers here pretty soon. Let's take the money and let's do with it. But that risk was what created the reward. How are you putting yourself in a scenario if you're trying to grow an economy? You are denying, or you're at least taking risk takers and saying you're not going to have the money to take a risk to build anything because we're taking your money to start with.
Well, isn't that what equity is they're making sure that everybody's the exact same. Doesn't matter how hard you work, the outcomes are the same. That's why there's no reason for a doctor to become a doctor, because he can't make more than somebody else that has a lesser skill. There's no incentive for him to do that. That's what socialism does. That's why it dumbs down every society, because everybody starts in different places but finishes in the same place. It's just it goes against logic.
It always creates the same thing: shortages. It always creates shortages because there is no reward for creating bountiful harvests or more equipment or anything else. It's why during the 1980s, remember when the biggest deal you could get in the USSR were American jeans.
Oh, yeah.
That was, people would travel. I had friends of mine who worked for Levi's, and they would be like, okay, I can go and sell these there or send them over, and a $20 pair of jeans is selling for $200-$300 because they can't get a hold of this stuff.
That's right. And let me tell you, when I was in the Navy, they used to tell me about, the guys that have been in it for a long time, they made a business out of it.
Yeah.
They would buy jeans. They would go to Goodwills or wherever, buy jeans cheap, send them over there, and sell them for, grips of money.
Yep.
And it was all just because you couldn't
get it.
It was just something special.
It wasn't like you were buying some luxurious item. It's just you couldn't get it.
Yeah. That's what, and it's crazy is that they want that for everybody. They would like for you to be in a situation where you die to have anything.
It's always the same. We'll do it better.
And it's always a failure every time it's tried. And I see it on those college campuses. It's all over social media. I saw one girl, and this was, I think, in the UK somewhere, and she was running for the student government president of whatever college she was in. And she was just like, I am a communist. And anything to do with capitalism, I want this school to divest of anything that has a capitalist tendency, capitalist ideology. We're going to get rid of all of it. Everything's going to be free and everything's going to be taken care of. And they got all this money and they're going to pay for it for you. And I'm going to make sure of it. You know, and you're just like, are you kidding me?
All right. So then let me extrapolate what happens from there. So when the communist then finds their way into power, and it always ends the same way, they then recognize that they're more special than everyone else. So them and their party members, whoever's their select circle, they get all the good stuff. You don't get any. Then they spend the rest of the time wondering who's going to kill them.
Right.
So then what they start doing is the paranoia kicks in. And now they start, killing those people that they came to power with. And then anyone who's ever around them, it's then they have to die too. And eventually, some other communist comes along and kills them.
Because you're not communist
But
enough.
it's a natural progression of what happens with communism every single time, no matter where it's ever come about.
And it will always be that because it is what it is. It is a failing system and useless. And I remember growing up, being relatively young in the 80s, and it was all USA, USA, USA against Russia, you know what I mean? Because they were the communists. And communism was so frowned upon and everybody hated communism. My father-in-law, till this day, if something happens that he doesn't like, he's like, stupid commies. It doesn't matter what it is. If the Braves make a bad play at shortstop, he's like, stinking commies.
It's all the commies.
It's all, but that was because...
That's the mentality, yeah.
That was the
Everything
mentality.
is to blame.
Communism and communism is bad, and he recognizes it.
But because, and I saw the documentary, it took a 5'7" Italian to end the Cold War. Thank you, Rocky.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
He's got a statue.
Yeah, he does.
More than Herschel Walker's got.
Yeah, it's true.
Morning Xtra.
By the way, so you have your Family Guy audio?
Yes.
I also have the Tobias Funke audio.
Okay, good. We'll play both of them from Arrested Development. And if we get time, we get to Family Guy telling you and explaining to you what's actually happening in the NBA right now. They called it early. This is the Morning Xtra, Xtra 106.3.
Sports news powered by 680 The Fan and driven to extra listeners by RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs, Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
These are your sports headlines for Thursday, March 13th. The Atlanta Braves continue spring training action this afternoon, this time from Clearwater, as they travel to play the Philadelphia Phillies. First pitch is set for 105. You can listen to that game on our sister station's app, 680 The Fan. From the NFL, quarterback Aaron Rodgers is a free agent for the first time in his career, as he was designated by the New York Jets as a June 1st cut. Rodgers is now permitted to talk with any team in the league about their starting quarterback job. And the Atlanta Hawks have now won 4 straight as they beat the Charlotte Hornets last night, 123-110. Trae Young with 35 points, 12 assists, and 7 rebounds. The Hawks are off until Friday night when they will host the LA Clippers at State Farm Arena. With your headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
Hey, it's Tug. There's some bad storms coming this weekend. That's what we expect. And if your roof is not ready or it has a leak, this is going to be a disaster. The last thing you need is water inside your house, leaking in your house. It is going to cause you major issues and major, major money down the road. Now you need to make an investment in your home. Now's the time to do it. Over 25 years, homeowners have been trusting Southern Exterior's 200,000 projects. Windows, doors, siding, gutters, roofing. Get the job done right the first time. Maximize your tax refund if you've gotten that already or about to. 0% financing for 12 months for 10% off any project. You can boost your curb appeal, and those storms are coming. Do not waste time. Get the repairs done before. Don't wait until it's as bad as it could possibly be. Do not wait. Plan ahead. Plan ahead. So important to plan ahead. Call Southern Exteriors today. 877-9-SOUTHERN. SouthernExteriors.co.
HGI Wealth Advisors is your financial defense partner, preparing you for the unexpected when the inevitable happens in life. Our tailored strategies empower families to build wealth, generate infinite income, and mitigate taxes, fees, and penalties. At HGI Wealth Advisors, we help you transfer wealth while creating an everlasting legacy. Our goal is to ensure you meet your financial needs today, tomorrow, and into retirement. Our experienced team is committed to ensuring your legacy endures for generations to come. Learn more at hgiwealthadvisors.com.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. You know, a great smile can make you more successful as well as make you happy. Yes, it's true. And your smile's waiting for you at my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler, my friend for 30 years and dentist forever. This woman at Atlanta Smiles, atlantasmiles.com, the dentist with the doggy. It's really true, whether it's just regular cleaning or bridges or crowns or are your teeth bothering a little bit, maybe a little ache or something, or your gums it's not going to get better on its own. Take it from me, I found that out the hard way. Taking care of your teeth and gums, and everybody's happy. And by the way, you can relax with Dr. Dina. This is an individual, private VIP experience. The latest technology. She used AI to get my last thing done at my last visit. And don't forget the doggy. She's a little doggy to take a nap in your lap while you're getting your work done. And this staff, these ladies are angels, I promise you. You'll love going there. A veteran herself, Dr. Dina, 10% veterans discount off the top. Tell them when you call. 404-262-7733. Your smile's waiting. Get the doggy at atlantasmiles.com.
True Prep on Cobb Parkway is your one-stop shop for emergency preparedness supplies, including freeze-dried food, water filtration, first aid, and more. They also have a large selection of firearms, including a huge selection of AR-15s, firearm accessories, and ammo at the lowest prices around. They're locally owned and operated, and you can visit their store in Marietta on Cobb Parkway or online at trueprep.com. That's truprep.com. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow at True Prep.
Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed's sponsored jobs feature helps you stand out and hire fast. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
Fox on Tech. British regulators say there's too little competition when it comes to mobile web browsing, pointing fingers at both Google and Apple. The UK's Competition and Markets Authority says it might not be fair that Apple has so much control over their iPhone's operating systems, in that it crowds out competitors like Mozilla from being able to truly offer a different browser than Safari to Apple users. Even though Mozilla's Firefox exists as an app in the land of iPhones and iPads, it still relies on Apple's software tech to run, as opposed to Mozilla's own. Google's Android is much the same with its Chrome browser. In response to the CMA's report, Apple says it disagrees with the findings and defends its choices, saying it's a better way to secure its users' privacy. The British investigation is still ongoing, and the CMA hopes to finish it by the end of the year. With Fox on Tech, I'm Eben Brown, Fox News.
Let's be here to enjoy the left's meltdown together. Xtra 106.3 is dialed into all the latest breaking news and headlines, so you don't have to suffer through the left-wing spin. Get it right from Atlanta's only conservative voice. Xtra 106.3 FM and the Xtra app.
As fun and funny as it is to see the left meltdown like they are, because they have no direction, they have no leadership, they have no message, there's nothing that they say that makes sense, and their own internal polling tells them that. And it's happened over and over again. They continually are asking, well, what happened? Why are we so out of favor? And their own polling says, well, you're anti-American. You don't care about the American worker. Your values don't align with the majority of the country. They keep finding that out, yet they don't act on it. It's like they're arguing with their own polling.
So the game is they need to walk around with a recorder all day long.
That's right.
And then listen back on it and go, why didn't the polling show that people like me? Well, this is how you talk. And so the joke comes from Arrested Development. Tobias Funke, David Cross, he's a character where, and the joke is, so he's married to Portia de Rossi, who clearly, Portia de Rossi, in real life, she's lesbian.
Yeah, right.
So the joke is that she's straight and that he does not understand yet that he is not. And so this is going to be Jason Bateman, who goes in to talk to him and then suggests the recorder idea. Take a listen.
I tell you, you can zing your arrow into my buttocks anytime.
Okay, you know what you do? You buy yourself a tape recorder, you just record yourself for a whole day. I think you're going to be surprised at some of your phrasing.
Butterscotch! Want a lick?
Tobias listens to a day's worth of his own words to see what Michael was referring to.
Even if it means me taking a chubby, I will suck it up. Nothing wrong with that. Oh, I've been in the film business for a while, but I just can't seem to get one in the can. Out of context? I wouldn't mind kissing that man between the cheeks, so to speak.
And he realizes there is something distinct about the way he speaks.
Tobias, you blow hard.
That's so good.
Yes.
He's such a funny dude, and I know he is a lefty loony, but he is hysterical.
You just need to walk around with your tape recorder all day long, leftists, and just sit there and just listen back on it and go, wow, how out of touch do I sound? Because that's what the rest of us are hearing.
Yes, that's exactly right. Oh, my gosh, so funny. And then we'll keep it on when TV shows just get it and they nail it way early. You know, Angel Reese said, well, look, we'll
WNBA star.
Yes, that's right. WNBA star says, we'll just sit out. We're not getting enough money. We don't get what we want. We just won't play.
She actually had the nerve to tell us all that they play less games, so they're more valuable, which is why they should be paid at an NBA level.
Boy, that doesn't make any sense to anybody. And if you recall, I mean, first of all, if you've ever seen a WNBA game, you know it's not good. And then the Family Guy, they were spot on with their description. Listen to this.
And at the top of the second half, it's 16-9. Easton leads the scoring with 4.
And that's why she commands $7,000 a year. These gals sure do make it look difficult.
But is having this minor skill worth being so unattractive? That's for the fan to decide. Yay!
The fan. The one fan.
That's right.
See, basketball is so different than, like, for instance, tennis. I prefer the women's game. It's much more of a ground game. The men's game is all just...
It's more fundamentals.
Especially
college level.
Yes, I would rather watch women play tennis than men play tennis.
I agree with you.
Volleyball is very similar in that the women's game is so much more fundamental. It's a more fun game, in my opinion. Basketball is just not like that at all because it does not look anything like the men's game.
No, it doesn't.
I'll even say this. I find that the women's college basketball game is more fun to watch than the professional game.
Absolutely right. Like you watch,
the way it's played is so different.
If you watch University of South Carolina, I mean those girls will play basketball, and they're a great team. It's fun to watch. But yeah, the WNBA, it's not even the same stratosphere. Like if you're comparing the two, they don't even look the same.
No.
When those players, and I'm not just trying to knock on them because it's easy.
Because they want money.
Yeah. But maybe if they didn't want to be paid absorbently.
Get what you're going to get.
Sure.
But make it make sense.
And it doesn't. There's so many highlight reels of the WNBA just making or missing easy layups, trying to do a layup and shoving it right in the rim. Just the worst of the worst.
I think it's a 33-year-old league that's never once made money.
And it won't.
Now, it's subsidized by the NBA.
Right.
It's an NBA product.
And here's the problem.
The NBA covers the losses.
Here's the bigger problem. You get somebody like Caitlin Clark that does generate some interest. And the reason I knew that interest was genuine is because my son, who's a college baseball player, he and his buds, after their baseball practice or after their baseball games, they would go home and they would find the game and watch her specifically because she was fun to watch. And it wasn't because somebody was twisting their arm telling them, hey, you better watch this. You need to watch this. It was a genuine interest in the game. And what did the WNBA do? Persecuted her. They tried to make it as difficult as possible for her to be in the league. They put her down at every turn. They act like she's a menace to the game and a menace to the league. And I don't know if the interest is still there because it seems like it's waning.
Well, let me give you just the flat numbers here. So in most of the sports leagues, it's near a 50-50 revenue share. That's what gets collectively bargained. In baseball, it's just different. You don't know what they're making.
Yeah, sure.
So but there's no cap.
Yeah.
NBA, NFL, you know what is being made by the league. It's all open into revenue sharing. WNBA players make about 9% of the league revenue. All right, so you're going, okay, well, that's not fair. What is it really should be? Here's the problem. While their revenues have doubled, and basically the last 7 years, the league expects to lose, as far as in 2024, $50 million. And what will happen is the WNBA claims that, well, we're not a subsidiary. We're not getting subsidies from the NBA. It's like, we're a partner with the NBA. It's like, okay, they're still fronting your losses.
Yeah, you can describe it any way you want to. You can call it anything.
It's like if my daughter was to say, I'm in business with my dad. Yeah, you're an employee.
Yeah, that's right. You're under the roof. I'm taking care of everything.
Yeah, we're
I'm paying for everything.
We're not partners in this. You're not bringing an equal share to the table here.
Or any share. You're taking advantage of my generosity. Being able to, and I don't mean that in a bad way. You're able to do the things that you want to do because I'm willing to pay for them for you. That's how you're able to do these things. Otherwise, you wouldn't be.
However, the WNBA remains unprofitable in its 28th year.
Give me another for-profit entity that would be able to do that, because there's not one that I can think of.
The WNBA has lost an average of more than $10 million annually since its founding.
Who can lose $10 million and stay in business every year? Who? Besides the federal government. They're the only people that can lose that kind of money and stay in business.
Is Brittany Griner back on the court, or is her playing days done?
No, she's actually here, I believe.
Oh, is that right?
She plays for Atlanta? I didn't know that. Well, look at me. No wonder. But why would I know that? Like, what would be the draw? What would keep me interested?
Yeah, she's 34 years old. She plays with the Dream.
Did she went to Russia to get paid? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
And then she had some trouble getting back home?
Yeah, I guess they make more whatever in the leagues overseas.
The leagues overseas do compensate. You'll have a lot of, and now this is changing. Like, for instance, we have 2 professional women's volleyball leagues here now. We're going to get a third. Before, you would head over to Europe because they actually pay professional volleyball players there. So in this case, you have a lot of, like, I get it. You don't have guys. Some guys don't make it in the league. So they're NBA players. They won't make it in the league. They'll go play in Turkey or Greece or Italy, and they'll go have a 10-year career there. In this case, she was, hey, I'm going over because I'm going to make more money by playing this league for this time period there.
Yeah, and it's like a summer league or whatever.
Yeah.
It's off season for the WNBA. And then, was arrested. Anyway. Boring.
She's averaging, 17 and 6.5 right now.
All right, so.
And 1.5 blocks per game.
Yeah.
It's a productive year for Brittany Griner with the Atlanta Dream.
RYJ Local, at RYJ Local. Can't comprehend how the NBA lost $40 billion with this kind of highlight reel. And let me tell you, it is bricks and air balls.
Yeah, it's tough. Tough watch.
It's tough to watch. That's right. That's the one fan. Yay. All right, that'll do it for us. We're going to turn this thing over to Beck. He's on until noon to 3, Clay and Buck, and then the local afternoon show with the Kimmer, who has a huge band out of Germany that loves his stuff. Los is going to introduce you to them tomorrow.
I'm sorry, Kimmer.
For Los and Jure, I'm Tug. Y'all come back now here.
Zelensky is asking for another chance, and it is Trump that looks like the strong leader. So let's wait and see what the Democrats try next.
Catch Neil's commentary every day on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.